Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Squared Circle Jerk podcast. I am your host, the guy with all of his own teeth. And with me, as always, is the guy with, I think they're implanting, what are they, like ox teeth and stuff in your head these days?
They are merely just artificial teeth.
Artificial? I mean, were they grown in space? Space teeth.
Might have been. I'm pretty sure the answer is teeth. I'm pretty sure they're a composite of various minerals made in a laboratory.
I will refer to you as Michael Space Teeth Magus from now on.
I mean, you could have just gone with Jaws.
It's been done.
Yeah, but I liked it. It was enjoyable.
Duh. I could have called you the autistic Mexican, because that was hilarious for, like, the entire time.
You're a jerk.
It's true. Well, both of those things are true. It was hilarious, and I'm a jerk. Mike we haven't done a podcast in a while. Mike's been having some oral care. And when he had to have a couple of teeth pulled and replaced.
I had two teeth pulled out and replaced because I am a first-rate grinder of my teeth, and actually had successfully fractured the two rear molars in my upper jaw and created a number of fissures and rents in the other teeth, which are slowly being filled. Basically just a cavity in a nutshell, but a cavity caused by, not related to, like, brushing your teeth, for example.
Well, there's a rapper named Yuckmouth. I believe that should also be your new nickname. Anyway.
I mean the obvious answer was NASA Shark, but whatever.
No, you can't go there yet. You'll just start laughing. Anyway, when the couple of nights for a couple of weeks that Mike was under oral care, he had some stuff in his mouth, and he sounded like maybe he was from Mexico, and he did not talk good. And I asked him to tell me that I had some splaining to do, and he did, and I laughed. And everybody had fun until his face imploded.
It did not implode.
So it was good times.
Almost done. I'll be at the dentist tomorrow getting the right upper jaw done. They've done the left side, and now it's the right side's turn. So it's going to be the right upper jaw, right lower jaw next week, and then we're done.
What about the central upper middle jaw?
Already done.
Excellent. I figure you're just like an eel and you got like extra set of jaws.
No, the center part was not overly damaged. It was basically the further back in my mouth you go, the more damage the teeth got, basically.
Madness. So this was the biggest wrestling weekend, or 4-day weekend of the year. And holy shit.
Yep, 4 massive shows from the New York area. And we're going to break them down.
Break them down, bow, bow, down, bow. Also, no matter, you can't prove that Mike was in New York. He probably didn't tackle Bret Hart or set anybody up.
That person has officially been named.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's no way they could totally no way they could prove that you were the actual person. So I mean,
have you seen the video clip?
No, I haven't. I've seen like a freeze frame of it. The guy was wearing some sort of weird Rastafarian outfit.
The dude is blonde and wearing a Rastafarian outfit, sir. I would never don that disguise.
The guy's from Nebraska, blonde, wearing a Rastafarian outfit, totally mentally well balanced. What a fucking asshole.
100%.
Indeed. So where are we going first? What are we covering first?
I mean, you're the one with the notes for a change, so...
I got notes on NXT, which you don't even want to talk about. God!
I said talk about it if you want. I'm just not going to have any input.
Jeez. Well, it's just, for the last couple weeks, I don't even know if you watched all the NXT or not, but I did.
I have been watching in spurts, but I am not... I'm pretty sure I can fill in the gaps of all the various...
yeah, I mean, there's nothing extensively great I don't think there's anything we need to necessarily reference other than, I mean, things you can talk about when we talk about the NXT Takeover. I have a lot of sections here that just have, what was it? So the March 20th episode, for example, I've got Black O'Shea promo, which is the name that we've decided that your boy Steve Blackman and Ricochet are to have. They are to be Black O'Shea.
I was also rather partial to Ricka Black.
Ricka Blackie?
Not that I suspect that this is a tag team that will last
No.
particularly much longer.
I mean, they've just had 2 giant PPV losses. I don't think they're sticking around. So, like, for instance, on the March 20th episode, we have a Black O'Shea promo, a Dream promo, Tommaso package, Riddle promo, Cole promo, Sky Pride's promo, and then we got a retard alert, because I wrote down retard alert every time Blanca Blur or the other two, the Aaliyah, Vanessa Del Rio, or whatever the fuck her name is.
Vanessa Bourne.
Yeah! Whenever those 3 showed up, I just wrote retard alert or double retard alert. And yeah, there's not tons to talk about. I did like the Kona Reeves Matt Riddle match, because Kona Reeves continues to do these little bitty things, just little bitty things that sell me on stuff, that convince me that he's a real wrestler, really wrestling an actual wrestling match. And there was this one moment in his match versus Riddle on the March 27th episode where came out, he did his shenanigans, and then pretty quickly Riddle basically bull rushed him into a corner, and in the brief instant between him being in sort of towards the center of the ring towards him being to the corner, there was genuine concern and alarm on his face, like, oh my god, what's happening? And it's something that no other professional wrestler is doing, because they know that it's by the numbers, and they know that you know that it's by the numbers, and they know that you know that they know, blah, blah, blah. But Kona Reeves is really the only person I see having, I guess Kyle O'Reilly, but Kyle O'Reilly does faces for other things. But Kona Reeves really is the only person I can point to that sells via face that effectively. It's not overdone, it's not underdone, it's perfect. And I don't know what else to say about that. But I just like watching Kona Reeves matches just for those moments.
You are like the only person in the world who is Kona Reeves over Velveteen Dream, I think.
I guess. I don't know what it is. There's something genuine that Kona Reeves is trying to get through his character. Or I guess there's something just genuine about him that he lets go and lets you see. And everybody else is like, I've got to be a superstar. And they try and just be a superstar all the time. The only 2 people even close are probably your boy Johnny Wrestling and the Psycho Killer. Those 2 guys really will let you feel what they're feeling. Shawn Michaels, to an extent, at his prime, as long as he's not wrestling Hulk Hogan. And there are some
I disagree. I think Shawn Michaels wrestling Hulk Hogan was the greatest example of a wrestler letting you know exactly how he felt about it.
That is 100% true. I'm just looking through the rest of my notes here. There's a bunch of stuff I just wasn't too happy about. A bunch of very, very samey matches. They've got that early 2000s Rey Mysterio vibe where you've seen him have that match exactly 1,000 times before. It's just that he's in a ring with a different person that he hasn't had the exact same match before with this guy. And there was like the Black O'Shea versus the Forgotten Sons, for example, from the 27th, was exactly that. I've seen Black and I've seen Ricochet do exactly all of those things, exactly in the same spots and exactly the same match a dozen or more times, and they just kind of... It was a match where we could have seen something new and exciting because they're up against some new guys, and nothing happened. It was just the same thing. Where else we got? They try to interview Candice, and I have written down double retard alert, so I know you know what's going on there. As a note underneath, I have AEW doing a better job of promoting Candice than WWE confirmed. Because they're putting Candice over huge in their Being the Elite series. Massively. And WWE just doesn't know what they're doing.
That's been the case for the last 20 years.
These are true statements. That's all I can really to just kind of throw out specifics. Other than that, it was just a bunch of matches that happened. Oni Lorcan versus Gunnar Riker was pretty okay. It was a tough guy versus tough guy type situation. It was alright.
Other than that being good.
Yeah. Other than that, they did a dumb fucking thing where War Machine came out and wrecked a pair of jobbers in like 40 seconds. And then they called out for another set of jobbers, and they fed them your boy Bananas and Jowd, and then they wrecked them too. This was the go home show right before NXT Takeover, and so yeah, that's basically all I have to report.
You don't have a large enough division to treat Jowd and Bananas as a job team, to be honest.
That's true.
Like, yeah, well, okay, pardon that. You can treat him as a job team. You can't treat him as a squash team.
True. Oh, I just had a thought.
Don't have enough people.
I just had a thought. You know that the Muscle Bros, I don't even remember their names. The two vaguely Italian football player guys that.
You mean Riddick Moss and Tito Sabatelli?
Yeah, Tito Santana and the guy with the rolling moss gathers no stones. I know that one of them's really badly hurt, and the other one's probably minorly hurt. What if the guys who love to squeeze into the front seat, both of them squeeze into the front seat of a one-seater car? What if they come back and they're like part of the bro army? I think it would be interesting.
I would hope that they would come back as singles acts because they teased that team self-destructing for just too long at this point.
That's very true, yeah. But I think it would be fun to have. I would think it would be fun to bring somebody in like that, and then Riddle's like, "No, dude, we don't wear shoes in the bro army," and they're like, "Well, but
I like the idea of Riddick Moss in the bro army. I'm less keen about Sabatelli in it.
Yeah, he's more of a douche than a bro.
Moss, I think, fits that mold just perfectly.
Ouais, senor. So, what pay-per-view Vizzle would you like to talk about?
Well, we might as well knock Takeover out of the park now that we've gone over the NXT storylines leading up to it. So,
I suppose. There was a number of dark matches that were taped for further broadcast on NXT that we did not get to see. Spoiler alert, if you don't want to hear what we're talking about, I guess skip forward like 30, 40 seconds. Street Profits beat Eichner and Bartel.
I'm intrigued how that goes. I've been saying it for a while. Like Street Profits lately have actually been improving a fair bit. So I'm intrigued to see what they do with a quality team like Eichner and Bartel.
Yeah, they're not coming out doing the samey matches. They're doing the samey goofy dancy, but they're not doing the samey matches anymore, which is interesting. Your boy Jackson Gunnar Riker beat Danny Burch. And then Candice.
Forward to that too.
And one that I'm particularly looking forward to is Candice LeRae defeated Double Retard Alert Aaliyah. Oh, it's actually just Aaliyah with Vanessa Bourne.
It's a singles match. I'm not looking forward to that because Aaliyah is pretty trash.
That's correct, and so is Vanessa Bourne. So we open the card with ya boys, the War Raiders, making a dramatic entrance against Black O'Shea.
This was a really good match. It made me really want to see some action between Raymond Rowe and Aleister Black in a singles match. That was pretty fantastic.
The ridiculous power spot OP.
Yeah, I mean, it was to a degree your standard big guy match versus really athletic smaller guys, but they kept it fresh. They kept it. They put enough twists into it that had you guessing what was going to happen next. I mean, case in point, Ricochet doing the big power suplex to Hansen, who's a big motherfucker, and of course Hansen doing his part because of course he is stunningly agile for a man of his size, and he did a lot of acrobatic things which were very, very cool.
I would agree. I thought it was a fine match. I didn't have lots of great things to say about it, but it was pretty good. That's about all I really have. They did some big spots. Ricochet, I think, missed the 630 for the first time I've ever seen. Maybe he missed it one time in Lucha Underground, maybe? I don't
I've seen
remember.
him miss it, but in some of the smaller indies. But yeah, in terms of a major one, yeah, I think this was the first time.
Yeah, so I mean, that had a big, big impact physically. And there were rumors afterwards that that Ricochet was injured after this. I couldn't tell if it was because he tried to do the dumb power spot or because he missed the 630. But there were definite rumors that Aleister Black and Ricochet were going to be pulled from WrestleMania because Ricochet was injured. Apparently, that did not happen.
That is, I suppose, the thing I don't really like about this is not that someone can't do Takeover and Mania, but you have them lose here, and then you have them, on the Mania card, and it's like, well, I instantly know that they're not going to win on the Mania card because I mean they did the job on Takeover. Like, what sense would it be to have them win at Mania? So,
well, I mean, I disagree because Vince doesn't allow anybody to leave NXT before they've lost.
True, so, but I just mean like to immediately lose and then immediately win at Mania in a title match.
Yeah,
it'd be a bit of a booking fallacy.
I would agree, which is why Vince would do it. We have the Velveteen Dream, the United States of the World Champion, against the Bro Original.
Yeah, not really a fan of the original Bro idea with Matt Riddle.
It's clearly not true.
There have been bros.
There have been bros as long as there have been dudes with physical competition. There is a long, I'm pretty sure, ancient Rome, ancient Greece, bros were abounding. They were probably dudes with tans greasing each other up and giving each other a bit of a how's your father, and they were bros.
The original bro is probably some guy named Steliakiles, and he's from ancient Greece.
Probably. Who might have been a Scythian, who knows? But the original bro is brutally incorrect, and therefore I'll never get behind it. I mean, I'm cool with Matt Riddle. I think he's great in the ring. He's got a great personality. He says bro. I'll say bro. But original bro, man, I'm older than him. What if I was the original bro? Can I sue them now for such a dumb fucking gimmick?
I mean, Matt Riddle was one of my favorite guys in the house way back once upon a time in The Ultimate Fighter. Not my favorite, mind you, because he had to share a season with Amir Sadala, JT Money, and Tim Crater.
He lives, therefore, to be JT Money.
JT Money. Who were probably three of the most... Well,
wasn't that also the season with Diamond Dave?
Yeah, no, not Diamond Dave Kaplan, but I did forget somebody that I really shouldn't have forgot.
Who did?
A certain man that you don't miss with his dip.
Oh, God.
A man who may, in fact, be made of railroad spikes. Matt Brown.
Matt motherfucking Brown. That is his nickname.
And not because I particularly liked him as a person, but Jeremy May was on that season to get killed by Matt Brown.
Yeah. That is equaling the truth. I mean, anybody from Florida clearly not good at life.
Show me the animal, Matt. Show me the animal.
Oh, you don't want that. That is a thing you do not want.
That was just Forrest Griffin yelling in Matt Brown's corner.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to see Animal Matt. I want to see regular Matt because regular Matt's scary enough.
Indeed.
We've
lost the wrestling audience. Okay, get back to wrestling.
It's totally fine. The Matt Riddle Velveteen Dream thing was cool, but I seem to remember them being very dumb and retarded near the end of the match. What was it?
I actually really liked this match, but I have two key exceptions, and one of those exceptions actually plays into the other exception, which is a lot of New Japan spots. And
right, yeah, because they hit him with every fucking finisher on demand.
We haven't been here for a while, so I'll go through what it is again. It's the New Japan spot is when you have that instant reaction. You see a move get hit, and it's a near fall, 2 count, whatever, 2.5, 2 3/4, whatever, and you go, that should have ended the match.
Yeah.
The kind of thing that like devalues finishers and this is, and people are gonna be like, well, I mean, you just don't want to finish your kick out. No, you can kick out a finisher. Don't get me wrong, but there's a point where you've kicked out of too much, and
if you kick out of 3 finishers in a row, something's gone wrong with your match.
Yeah, and both of these men did that. And then the second objection was the fact that the finish was Matt Riddle going for the bro mission and Velveteen Dream reversing that into a pinfall, which I really like conceptually, but I don't like it after we had 3 or 4 New Japan spots that should have probably ended the match. And I don't particularly like the guy who figures out reversing the bro mission into a pin, which is something I really wanted to see done, but it's not something that Velveteen Dream, based on his character, should be doing. Should be the first guy to figure out.
Exactly.
Especially after he has eaten as much punishment as he has. And the only other thing, and you pointed out that this was me being pedantic, and I agree, but it still does bug me. And that is, they really hype up Matt Riddle's striking a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And if you're familiar with Matt Riddle's MMA career, his stand-up was bad. Like, and I think this is something that I have a perspective on that most people don't have a perspective on. During his UFC career, Matt Riddle fought a guy by the name of Sean Pearson and got boxed the fuck up. Now, why my perspective on this is somewhat unique is the fact that I have trained with Sean Pearson and know that he's not an amazing boxer. No disrespect, Sean, if you actually watch this video, you kicked my ass in the gym a number of times, but your boxing is not world class, and you made Matt Riddle look very bad.
Yeah, I remember having this discussion, but I still stipulate that they're just hyping it wrong. Clearly any MMA fighter is 1,000% better striker than any pro wrestler. That's just not even a question.
I mean, it depends on the pro wrestler. You've got some pro wrestlers who do have some kind of striking background. Baron Corbin, for example, is a Golden Gloves boxer, so he always kind of comes up on my list of what pro wrestlers could translate over to MMA given enough time, and if they did it young enough. Corbin comes to mind as a guy who probably could have, NFL athleticism mixed with Golden Gloves background. That's actually a pretty scary recipe for heavyweight.
Fair enough, but I mean, unless you come across that exact formula, almost 100% of the time, Matt Riddle's going to be an amazing striker compared to these people. That being said, he doesn't really use his striking. So again, why are we talking about it? Why would anybody ever bring up the fact that Baron Corbin's a Golden Glove boxer at all? And yet they do ad nauseum. He never uses his striking. He doesn't strike. He's not a striker. There's no reason for you to tell me that he knows anything about boxing, because he doesn't throw punches. He doesn't do anything in the ring that would ever let me slightly believe he knows how to even throw one jab.
Well, they love to do that with anything. Like, they talk about guys' athletic accomplishments, be it football or whatever. Or I think Charlotte Flair, for the longest time, they were trying to bring up her gymnastics career, and it's like,
yeah,
just go away.
Pretty much. I mean, is it really a career? Did she ever get paid?
Maybe. Didn't last very long if it did.
So yeah, it was an okay match. Probably the best match Dream's ever had, and that's 100% because of Matt Riddle. I don't think Dream had tons to do with it. As a matter of fact, he was pretty awkward in a couple situations.
I thought that this actually was probably the best example of Dream, though, because there were parts of this match where he definitely was leading, which is something we pointed out that he's not had to do in a lot of his great matches, because he's been in with Ciampa, Gargano, Chris Hero, Aleister Black, the creme de la creme. And not that Riddle's not on that level, but I don't think Riddle's on that level in terms of ring generalship. And there were parts where I think Dream led the dance, and it was not terrible. So I think he's getting better, although I'm with you in the sense that there are a lot of people calling for him to be ready now.
Yeah, he's not.
And
3 years. Give him 3
he's
years.
just not. I say maybe 2 years.
Maybe. But, I mean, Riddle's been wrestling for 4 years. He's had, and that's like training plus independent circuits, that kind of thing. And he's clearly, I believe that his MMA career clearly gave him a massive edge. And you'll see it with Shayna Baszler again. The fact that they've been in real goddamn fights, real actual combat.
It's a shame that
real
hasn't
shit.
translated to Jessamine Duke in any way.
Well, I mean, look at her fucking career. But, I mean, Matt Riddle and Shayna Baszler had not extensive careers, but long enough careers to have lots of experience compared to your average human being.
I'd say Baszler did actually very much have. She's one of the OG women's MMA fighters. Like, let's see here. Her debut was in 2003.
All right. So she had exactly twice as many fights as Matt Riddle. She had 26 and he had 13.
Yeah, she had 26 fights over a 14-year period.
All right, cool. So yeah, I will retract that. Baszler has had an extensive career in combat, but you've got people who've been in real goddamn fights, real shit. And I'm not trying to denigrate wrestling because I love it. I know slams are real. It's all like there's a lot of shit here.
We're here doing a podcast about wrestling. I mean, if anyone thinks that we're here just to denigrate wrestling, we do actually have better things to do with our time.
Yes, that's true. I could be playing Borderlands right now. But the fact that they've been in the shit versus people. So if you go, say somebody was to talk to a Vietnam veteran or a Cold War veteran or anything to do with the Middle East, any kind of military veteran, and they've been in the shit, and some, gun collector like myself, I don't have an extensive collection, but they exist. But somebody who owns guns versus somebody who's been in the military, there's a big fucking difference. And there's a lot more, I believe there's probably a lot more confidence that you'll see from people like Matt Riddle and people like Shayna Baszler. And Ronda Rousey, only been in the business a year. And she's able to do what she's doing in the ring. Right? So you've got that kind of confidence and that kind of like, I've been in real shit, and this is, I've got to learn how to protect myself. I've got to learn how to protect the person I'm working with.
Now, I will say that there's somewhat of a downside to that, and that's watching Josh Barnett wrestle.
I really have never done that.
It's a little scary. It's a case of, I think Josh Barnett has too much of that confidence that we're talking about.
Well, he's got too much persona. He's got too much ego. That's what's going on with Josh Barnett.
Could be. I just remember watching him having a match in Impact Wrestling and just nearly killing a dude on a very simple power bomb, and it's just like,
no. Well, I mean, it's either that
everything about that wrong.
It's either that or did he make it look as real as possible just to get himself over?
I think he was over already. So I would say, say if that was the motivation, it wasn't really required. Now, mind you, there are also some MMA guys who just never translated wrestling. I was always a little surprised that Rampage Jackson really didn't. I think he's calling, frankly.
Well, I mean, I'm not totally surprised because Rampage, as anybody knows, doesn't train. So there you go. If you want like an ultimate manager, Rampage Jackson's your dude. But as a wrestler, I wouldn't be in the ring with him if I could avoid it.
There wasn't a large sampling size. He primarily worked with one Wes Briscoe during the Aces and Eights feud. In TNA, and I think that probably actually says a lot of nice things about Wes Briscoe, whose career unfortunately really didn't go anywhere, but that he was given the Rampage babysitter gimmick, kind of similar to if you recall the Nexus fights that they had with John Cena when John Cena had Bret Hart on his team. It was always Heath Slater working with Bret Hart, and the common word of mouth was always that they trusted Heath Slater the most of all of those guys, and that's why he was always working with Bret Hart.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to lay a fact on you. Are you ready?
Sure.
Your boy, the Velveteen Dream, has been training and performing Velveteen Dream entered the professional wrestling sphere almost exactly a month before Matt Riddle. And if you look at the two in the ring, what have you got to tell me about that?
Riddle's ahead of the game, and
Oh, yeah.
like I said, I think anyone who comes from an actual combat sports background, be that boxing, wrestling, even something like jiu-jitsu, I think is going to have an advantage and a comfort that isn't really ingrained with any other activity.
Yeah.
And that's going to help them get a bit of a jump start, and particularly if they're like Matt Riddle, who seems to love wrestling, it's going to go well.
Yeah. I don't doubt the passion of either of these guys. It's just that Matt Riddle's just so much better. And I believe that you can trace that back to Matt Riddle actually being in the shit, like real fights. And real fights are going to translate into a more calm and adjusted attitude when it comes to wrestling. And when that happens, they're easily able to ramp things up or ramp things down, depending on how you need them to be. And I think Matt Riddle's got that in spades, and Velveteen Dream does not. And Velveteen Dream's going to need it. I think Velveteen is always going to be 3 years behind Matt Riddle. Even though they've been training, even though he's got a month of training and experience above and beyond Matt Riddle. And I think that goes to, again, the fights, but also the fact that Velveteen Dream has been under the WWE flagship for the entire time and has virtually no experience because of it. So there's,
yeah, I mean,
there's all that.
We've said it in the past is that NXT still doesn't have a very good track record at producing talent.
Yeah.
They have a very good track record of taking in independent guys, letting them shine, and letting them kind of end up on the main roster. But their ability to take a fresh product and create a complete product is it's pretty limited.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the pro wrestling, accomplishments and championships of both guys. Matt Riddle's is a full page, and Velveteen Dream has a couple of entries. And by a full page, I mean he's got titles from 5-Star Wrestling, Beyond Wrestling, Evolve, Hope Wrestling, IWA Mid-South, Keystone Pro Wrestling, Monster Factory Pro Wrestling Illustrated has ranked him at number 46 out of 500 top singles wrestlers of PWI Top 500 in 2018. He was the Progress Wrestling champion twice. Pro Wrestling Chaos, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Scenic City Invitational, Sky Battle, West Side Extreme Wrestling, Wrestling Observer Newsletter has given him Most Improved in 2016 and Rookie of the Year in 2016, and WNW Live had him as champion at least one time. And you look at Velveteen Dream, it's like, oh, he was the North American champion one time. That's all I got for you. So you've got a massive wealth of experience from Matt Riddle from two different aspects of his life. And Velveteen Dream has been under the WWE wing the entire time and is a WWE superstar, not a wrestler.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he can't turn into something really good, but
No,
it does
not at
mean
all.
that it's
But
probably going to take a long time.
He's going to be 3 years behind Matt Riddle the entire time of his career. That's just how... Hey, man, things can change. Maybe dude, like a giant light bulb goes off in his brain and something clicks and everything comes together. That can happen. Maybe he has a hot 6 months and just, wow, I don't know what the hell. And he's just able to mold himself in a different way. Maybe working with Matt Riddle changes everything. Maybe they become on par because Matt Riddle's able to go, hey man, we need to do this, we need to do that, and this is why, and this is how we do this. And he's like, oh, nobody ever told me any of this because I've only ever had 2 trainers in my entire life and I've never been anywhere else. Maybe that happens. Who knows? But at this point, it's very, very, very clear who the better wrestler is with 1 month less experience.
Moving on, we had the UK title between Walter and Pete Dunne. This was a really, really good match. The only thing I don't particularly enjoy is, and I I've had this rant before, is that Pete Dunne's got to cut back on the finger spot. Like,
yeah,
if
he
you're
did like 4. Was it like 4 or 5?
I think it was 5.
Yeah.
But if you're ever going to use it as a finish, which we've seen them do, you really have to lessen up on it as standard offense.
Yeah.
Because if you break a guy's fingers, 4 times during the match, and then you finish him with some kind of hand-related trauma, it kind of definitely brings me out of the zone. And I said that when he subbed out Joe Coffey at the NXT, or whichever Coffey he was facing. I don't remember which one.
I'm pretty sure it was Joe.
I believe it was Joe.
What's the other guy's name? Dave?
Mark.
Black Coffee.
But yeah, like when you'll remember, I had my thing where he basically tapped out Joe Coffey by bending his fingers backwards, and I'm like, as a man who's had his fingers bent backwards, that sucks. That horribly sucks. But you did like 4 finger snap spots in the match. So,
yeah, but that's why he was able to. It plays into the finish because he's fucking abused the shit out of his hand the entire time. That's why you would tap out at that point. If you're kayfabing it up and you're using air quotes, really damaging and really hurting his fingers, spraining, breaking, whatever, bend, stretching ligaments at the end of the match, yes, that makes sense. But I'm agreeing with you, overplayed. But if you're going to do a finger bend finish, that's how you gotta do it. I mean, you could put a chokehold on somebody and they're out. Doesn't matter. You don't have to chop their neck. That's not a thing that happens. You can put an arm bar on somebody and they'll tap. They just have to. That's how real life works.
I think you only need one real setup on that. You break the guy's fingers, and you bend the hand backwards, and boom, there you go.
In a real life situation, yes. In a pro wrestling situation, no. Because if you want to preserve somebody's mystique, like if Joe Coffey still has to be a badass tomorrow, you can't just have him tap out, he bent my finger, and that's not legal. You can't have that. You've got to establish the fact that he's able to, again, air quotes, sustain punishment, but then in the end it was just too much.
That's the other thing, though, is that they'll do that like 4 or 5 times in a match, and that doesn't play into the finish. And and it's not just a Pete Dunne thing. I have Marty Scurll's a similar problem here. It kind of relates it to the problem that both you and I have with Zack Sabre Jr., which we'll get into at some point.
Yeah, I agree. If you're going to do just like Marty Scurll, Pete Dunne need to chill. Like, do it once. If it doesn't have anything to do with the match, just do it once. You're going to get your pop, and then you move on. That's all you need. But if you're talking about the Joe Coffey match, you have to do it that way. You got to do like 4, 5, 6, and then you can just grab his hand at the end and bend the shit out of it. And he's like, oh, fuck, shit, fuck off, on tap. And you have to do it that way. Otherwise, your big, bad, nasty heel just looks like a bitch.
Yeah, but in relation to that, he did the exact same thing here to Walter, and he lost.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but
by proxy, it makes Joe Coffey look like a bitch.
Oh, yeah, I mean, Joe Coffey. Are you going to put Joe Coffey in there against Walter? I don't think so. I will totally watch that match.
I mean, that is the downside of Walter and Pete Dunne in the UK brand, is that there's not really anyone I'm dying to see them actually face.
I want to see Walter versus Eddie Dennis.
That could be fun. Or Dave Mastiff.
Yes, Dave Mastiff versus Walter is going to be savage.
There's not a ton there. Not a ton.
Speaking of savage, this was a almost 26-minute exercise in precision brutality. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. It's not the most savage or brutal. It's not even close to the most savage or brutal thing I've seen in wrestling, but it was. I enjoyed the precision of the brutality in this match. It was very good. I liked it. Spoiler alert, Pete Dunne didn't win.
And hopefully in the Superstar Shakeup, he goes to the main roster.
Oh, Pete Dunne on the main roster could be fun.
They'll probably mess it up, though.
Oh, they won't even book him. To have him on like I don't know, the Raw after WrestleMania is on right now. Um, then are they going to do a draft again this year?
I don't know. I think it's just gonna be random.
I don't know either. So I don't know. Even if they call him up, they're not. If he goes to SmackDown, they'll book him. If he goes to Raw, you'll never see him again. They might as well just release him now until he can go to AEW.
Then we had the ladies take center stage. Shayna Baszler versus defending her title against Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kairi Sane. They only gave these ladies a little bit over 15 minutes, which for a four-way is a bit weak.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid.
I did think this was the weakest match on the card, but that's not really saying much because this was a pretty damn stacked card. Baszler's a solid wrestler. I really enjoy Io Shirai. I really enjoy Kairi Sane. Mm-hmm. And Bianca Belair is a bit of a project. She does some things very well. She shows off what she can be, but there's a little bit of gaps to be filled in. Sort of a female Velveteen Dream in a way.
Yeah. She did the only hair whip spot that ever made any sense for any goddamn reason in this match, so that was good. But really the stars of the match were Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. When they were wrestling anybody or each other, that was the match. That was 100% of the match. Shayna Baszler, your champion shouldn't have been there. Bianca Belair shouldn't have been there. I would have watched Io Shirai, or Io Sherry, as Vince, I'm sure, calls her, and Kairi Sane. I would have watched those two wrestle each other for an hour and a half. I would have watched the shit out of that. And they just happen to be interrupted by the other two in the match. It's not that Bianca Belair was bad in the match. That is not the case. And it's not that Shayna Baszler was bad in the match. Not even close to the case. But those two were the match.
They're on another level.
Whole other level.
And they're on another level, honestly, to most women in the business.
They're completely wasted. If the Raw after WrestleMania happens and the Sky Pirates don't come out and immediately put their foot hip deep up the Colonics' ass and take them titles, I don't know what the fuck you're doing in life.
Are you suggesting the Iconics require a colonoscopy?
Correct. They're gonna need a eye, nose, and toes doctor to figure out what the fuck went wrong with their career. But seriously, I don't. The one thing I didn't like was that Shirai and Sane interrupted each other's pinfalls. I understand that that's part of the match. I understand that it's a four-way. I understand all of that stuff. But it would have been, the crowd would have really loved it, and I would have really loved it if one of those two could have taken the title. If Sane got a second reign, and then you've got a narrative. You've got Io Shirai going, "Hey man, what about me? I'm the best in the fucking world at female wrestling." End of story.
Yeah, I've never.
But then Sane and Baszler both have 2 title reigns, and no one else does. And then what happens then?
I'm definitely on the same page as you on that regard, because I've always, and this goes back to my Royal Rumble problem, when like people like, well, of course it's every man for himself in the Royal Rumble. Tag team partners have to turn on each other,
but not right away.
They don't have to right away. Like I always remember, like it was the year that was Drew Carey was in the Rumble. And
oh Lord,
the 2 of the first 4 entrants were Jeff and Matt Hardy, and they were not feuding at the time. They were a tag team. This was Hardy Boy times, and Drew Carey's coming out there, or not even coming out yet. He's number 5 though, and the Hardys are in there, and Jim Ross is like, well, I mean, they could always just work some teamwork stuff and eliminate some people as they come in and really take advantage of this, and then Jerry Lawler's like, no, they'll fight it out, and sure enough. They did, and they eliminated each other, and that's kind of, in a nutshell, WWE booking and wrestling booking in a way, as far as friendships go, is like, it's not necessarily a bad thing if Io Shirai pins Baszler here, because Kairi, you should be getting the next title shot. That's your friend. And if Kairi wins, then Io Shirai, you should be getting the next title shot, because that's your friend.
Yup. So that's the only part of the match I didn't like, other than the fact that the two Japanese ladies got interrupted during their match. God damn it! And I would, hey man, if there's now a rivalry between Sane and Shirai, and I get to watch them have like 5 or 6 matches over the course of a year, I'm good as fuck. But if the Sky Pirates come out on Raw or SmackDown and beat the shit out of the Colonics and take the titles back, like a real goddamn wrestler should have those titles, it'll be great. However, they're going to Carmella the shit out of the Colonics for like 9 months and give them the longest title reign ever that won't ever be broken for wrestlers that can't wrestle and have no heat because they have no personalities, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. The other good thing here is at least the other two horsewomen, Jessamine Duke and Maria Shafir, did not interfere in the match. So I'm happy.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Although it's a 4-way, they could have. It's no DQ.
Correct. The one time where it's totally legal, no interference. Well done. You guys booked that to perfection, retards.
Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole faced off in a 2 out of 3 falls for the vacant NXT Championship. Very mixed on this match. I thought that it was pretty damn good because it's fucking Gargano, and as much as I'm not a Cole fan on the level of a lot of people, he's still very good. And yeah, but the ending really sucks the wind out of my sails because you had the Undisputed Era interfere on behalf of Adam Cole, of course, and Gargano fights them all off, still wins the title, kicks out of a pair of last claws, and what's Cole's knee thing called?
The last shot.
The last shot. Yeah. And
which I always confuse with the complete shot.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna book this match this way, it should have been Gargano losing. Now, to be clear, I would book Gargano to win, but it would either be a straight up 1-on-1 with no massive interference from 3 very good wrestlers, or there would be a counter insurgence from the faces. Maybe Candice leads out some people to fight off the Era, and you do it that way.
Yeah, I would agree. The alternate take I've seen on this was the Wrestle Talk guy, Luke Owen from Wrestle Talk, had a definite statement like there should not have been a 2 out of 3 falls match because no one gave a shit for the first half of the match. Like no one, okay, somebody's gonna get pinned or submitted, great, whatever, and then somebody's gonna get pinned or submitted, and either the match is just gonna be over, and we're all gonna be going, huh? Or the match has to continue, in which case we don't give a shit until 2 falls have happened. So their take on it is if you just watch it after the second fall as a singles match for 1 fall to a finish, if you watch just the last half of the match or however long of the match it is, it's actually a really good match.
And I guess my other problem with it is, of course, Adam Cole has been booked pretty poorly to be a title contender.
Yeah, I mean, he won 1 match, and he didn't even...
He loses to just about anybody.
Yep.
And again, that's kind of the Undisputed Era's whole thing here, and furthered by the fact that you basically just lost 4-on-1, and I guarantee you, next time they're on camera on NXT, they're going to cut a cocky promo about how this is their era, this is their house, and no one can stand against them. And it's going to make absolutely no sense.
Correct. And then hopefully your boy Roddy Strong just suplexes everybody and snatches all the titles.
Yeah, please God, Roddy, just turn on them. Because like something has to happen with this faction.
So yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I was the one screaming out loud when the rest of the Era and the rest of the timeline came down. I still can't get over how stupid that fucking name is. You're not a length of time. You're a group of wrestlers. Get the fuck over yourselves. It's so goddamn stupid. And you're supposed to be the pedantic one.
I've just given up on commenting on that.
I just like to call them undisputed. Just call them undisputed. They're undisputed. Great, fine, fuck, Jesus, makes as much sense as anything Bianca Belair says out loud. But when the rest of the undisputed boys came out, I was just fucking livid. It's like, okay, match is over. This has gone from probably at least a 3.5 to 4 star match to being a 1 star match, because I'm tired of this fuckboy shit. Of just, why can't we just have a good goddamn match? Why can't we have a wrestling match without the fuckboy shit? The fuckboy shit that Vince McMahon thinks he needs to pizzazz and spice shit up. Nobody needs that fuckboy shit.
Also, you have the whole, in my opinion, massive problem of face booking. Faces are dumb because you know that someone's gonna feud with Adam Cole, like, I don't know, a couple of weeks time, and they're gonna lose a match because Roddy Strong or someone interferes, and they're gonna whine and bitch about how it's not fair that they keep playing the numbers game or whatever. It's like, well, then do something about it.
Yeah.
And the weird thing was, NXT for a while there was doing something about it. You had Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and War Machine working together. That led to the War Games match. You had various other incarnations of that whole thing working together, helping each other out against the Era. Where was that here?
Yep.
So stupid.
That equals correct. Where are we off to next in the land of pay-per-view, sir?
Well, chronologically, it was Impact Wrestling first, so let's knock that out of the park, because I don't think we're going to have a ton to say about this one. Am I wrong?
Not really. I mean, the production value, right out the gate, the production value, the audio was trash, the video quality was super trash, 5,000. Anybody who, it was just very bad in terms of production quality.
Yep, that was pretty disappointing. As for the matches, Johnny Impact won the Ultimate X match for the shot at the X Division title over Ace Austin, Dante Fox, Jake Christ, and Pat Buck. It was fun. Spot fest, typical thing. But really anticlimactic because you've got your champion in there for a shot at the X Division title. It's a little too on the nose that he's going to win, and you really haven't built up any of these guys as threats to him because, Dante Fox and Ace Austin and Pat Buck, all pretty much not really on your TV program at this time.
Mm-hmm. I think Ace Austin only ever had one match. That was it. Yeah. It's until now.
And Jake Christ is, of course, part of the OVE faction, where he's basically just Jeremiah Crane's whipping boy. So
correct. Also, to hinder this match, the ring was only about 3 feet by 2 feet wide. It was tiny. It was a child's ring.
Yeah, that was also very, very weird, and it didn't help the fact that a lot of these are multi-people matches, so it made that lack of space even worse. Because from that we went on to Team Lucha Underground defeating Team Impact. Again, fine, but a very small ring. I don't really have much to add. So,
not really. I mean, there's still, and the only thing I've got to add is Marty the Moth is awesome, great stuff. It was really fun to see Tommy Dreamer out there, but I mean, and this is kind of the best use of Tommy Dreamer these days. I really wish that there was a way that he could lose, I don't know, like 100 pounds. But the ending, part of the ending of the match is Moose. Who was it? He clotheslined the shit out of Eddie Edwards. Cage. It was a Brian Cage. Okay, for no reason that anybody can fathom. It didn't make any sense. In the ending, just kind of went.
Well, no, it plays into the Cage and Moose storyline that they are feuding, but it pokes another hole in the backstory of this match where it's like, okay, so who put this team together?
Yeah,
because you put Moose on a team with a guy he's currently feuding with in Brian Cage, and a guy that he's blood enemies with in Eddie Edwards. And originally we were supposed to have Johnny Impact on this team, and he's feuding with Moose and Cage. So, I mean, the Lucha Underground team is, a pretty, getting along group. You could argue Marty not so much, I guess. But like Aerostar and Drago are, pretty butt buddies. Daga's, just kind of there. And then Marty the Moth. and you put together what I think probably was Impact's most dysfunctional team to defend your promotion's honor.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I could be misremembering. Maybe there was like some kind of qualifying process for this, and like people won matches. But like,
I don't know.
But like, what authority figure thought, this is the team?
Yeah, it didn't make a ton of sense, and the ending didn't make any sense at all, and I might as well not have done it, pretty much.
We had a 4-way fight for the Impact Knockouts Championship. Taya Valkyrie defending champion against Rosemary, Jordan Grace, and Katie Forbes, who is Rob Van Dam's squeeze.
Whoa.
And has some impressive assets. This was pretty good. It was fine. I think all 4 of these women got to show off what they could do. I think Katie Forbes, for not being in the business too long, actually is quite good.
Yeah, I was very surprised when she came out looking like that. And with that kind of persona, I'm just used to those people in WWE being the absolute worst, so they just reflexively reach for that gimmick. And like, make them rich and entitled, and that's the end of their thought process.
I'm rich, entitled, and attractive.
That's it.
That's
yeah. They're basically Paris Hilton wrestling cutout clones, but
they are my least favorite character because I don't understand why they're wrestling.
It doesn't make any sense. But Katie Forbes, when she came out looking all like that, and she did that entrance into the ring, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should watch the fucking match because you'll be entertained just from that. Dude, you could see that thing from the front. Holy God. But she held her own. I don't remember her doing anything wrong per se, or anything that was bad. I think the match could have been a lot better if Rosemary's obviously still physically recovering from her knee problems. Other than that, and Taya, I don't want to, not trying to fat shame anybody here, but she's put on a bunch of weight since her Lucha Underground days, and her Lucha Underground days were maybe a year and a half to go. She's losing that weight. That's very clear, and that's great. I don't know what happened. Was she injured, or
I don't know, maybe there was an injury, or maybe just the honeymoon with Johnny Impact. Take it easy.
It's a whole lot of pastries. But it's Jordan Grace was great doing Jordan Grace stuff. Katie Forbes, again, not much experience, but goddamn held her. Dude, you're in there with Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary, and I can't point to anything she did wrong. I guess I could rewatch it and nitpick if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. So yeah, it was a solid quality 4-way match between the ladies.
Taya Valkyrie retains, which is the one downside, is that it was always going to be Taya Valkyrie retaining. Like, we're not done with the Taya Valkyrie Tessa Blanchard feud yet.
Blanchard with a vengeance. And I don't think we are done with the Rosemary versus Lacey? Allie, there you go.
During this match, Su Yung came out and brawled with Rosemary, so that storyline I don't think is actually done.
Allie's now signed to AEW, thank you.
Well, I mean, the Allie part of it is, but the storyline continues with Su Yung and probably Father James Mitchell.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense because that was a whole fucking battle to the death about whatever, but okay.
Yeah, it's the weirdest storyline, and not in a necessarily good way. Like, there are elements of it that are very good and spooky, but there's no real payoff.
Listen, what if the payoff is that if this goes on for another month, Su Yung gets some help from like a Japanese buzzsaw?
Could be fun.
Could be fun. But yeah,
that was kind of the one downside. Like, this is Katie Forbes' debut. She not winning the title. Jordan Grace still a little bit green to be carrying your title. Rosemary still a little bit injured and still very distracted to be carrying your title. So, there was no believable threat to Taya Valkyrie's reign.
Yeah, I would. It's one of those matches where you look at the card and go, well, they really should put the belt on Rosemary, but all those things you mentioned. But it would be really, really cool if they put the belt on Jordan Grace, because she's very much an up-and-comer, somebody that they should definitely shine a spotlight on. much like the female Rumble in the WrestleMania 35, which we'll talk about, and then vomit all over. So, I mean, you've got a couple of elements there where it would be very cool if you went a couple of ways, but it's also very cool if you keep the belt on Taya because she's the best, right? I mean, just no real question.
It's her or Blanchard.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. Her or Blanchard, Tessa Blanchard has, like, it's just genetically a wrestler. I can't even conceive of what she would do other than wrestling.
Don't know. We got LAX versus Low-Ki and Ricky Martinez. It was fine. It was really slow at starting, and there was a lot of and like kind of the downside is that we're gonna touch on this again in the main event. There was a lot of mugging, shall I say, which is like Low-Ki and Santana being like really, really intensely mad with each other and not actually hitting each other and just kind of facing off with mean faces. And the problem kind of was that we got a lot of that with the Pentagon Phoenix versus Van Dam and Sabu match as well. So,
I understand why they did it in the Sabu match.
Tessa Blanchard defeated Joey Ryan in an intergender match. I'm not going to say anything nice about it. I'm also not going to say anything negative about it. I'm not into the intergender stuff unless you have a real, like, good storyline, which didn't really have here. But if there's a guy who can make intergender wrestling work, it's Joey Ryan.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know anybody else on right now that's going to make that happen. I mean, you could definitely do something with MJF versus Brandy. That could definitely be a thing. Based on the being the elite stuff. But, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on board with what you're saying. I don't really have one way. It's not the best thing I've seen Joey Ryan do, and this kind of relied on Joey Ryan. Let's be honest. I'm not talking shit about anything to do with Tessa Blanchard, but if you're going to do an intergender match, it largely relies on the dude to lead the dance, for a lack of a better term, and kind of work but leave openings. Like, you have to have openings so that things can happen. And he did all of that. The problem is that the dance wasn't that great. It was your standard waltz, and we all kind of knew that he wasn't going to win. Yeah, he got some of his shit in. That was cool. I would have preferred Tessa not to have the lollipop in the mouth, but I can kind of see why they were going for it. I would just have not. That would have been like the line. He goes to do the thing, and that's the opening, right? It's I don't know. That's I think that was the linchpin, and they kind of missed the mark on it. I didn't really have a problem with it. As an addendum and a bit of news, because we were talking about this while the match was going on. Because I was sure that somebody had declined to do this match in the first place. And I was sure that it was Eli Drake. And I was right. Because
you were saying Jeremiah Crane, actually. Mr. Sammy Callahan.
Yeah, you're right. Jeremiah Callahan, probably. Yeah, I brought him up. I was sure that it was somebody else.
Yeah, Eli Drake would make sense.
Yeah, so it was Eli Drake.
Also, I'm not sure why declined. I'm not sure why you would want to do a Tessa Blanchard Eli Drake match, because, like, here's the thing with Tessa.
Because they just did fucking the amateur wrestler versus Disco Inferno match. Why wouldn't you? That's their thinking.
Yeah, but like Eli Drake is a serious near main eventer, considerably larger than Tessa Blanchard. Yeah. And a lot of Tessa's offense is kind of power based because for pound for pound, she's amazingly strong. So
I'm trying to go somewhere here with this. I'm trying to go somewhere with
larger
this.
Than Joey Ryan.
I'm trying to go somewhere here with this. So it was Eli Drake. It was not Sami Callihan. He publicly declined to do the match on Twitter. Like, he's like, all respect to Tessa Blanchard, but I'm not doing an intergender match, blah, 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 whatever. And then apparently he went on a podcast after that and also iterated all of the all those things and more. And those kind of factors combined with, I guess, a few other things going on, Impact has released Eli Drake officially today or yesterday. So Eli Drake no longer with Impact.
Not something I would have done. I think there's
No.
money in Eli Drake, and he's also a guy who apparently turned down a WWE not contract but tryout match multiple times during his time with Impact. So
could be
a loyal foot soldier as well. That's a bad call.
Well, the rumors are that he has had talks again with WWE, but nothing's been offered. I don't blame him. Like, I wouldn't go there if I was him. He'd just get buried. You think they buried Cassius Ohno? Jesus Christ, where do you think you're gonna end up? You're a third-rate Rock ripoff. Come on, son.
Apparently, him and The Rock are actually buddies, though. That might play in his favor.
Oh, I mean, hey, that'll work. But he's still doing Rock stuff all the time. And you know Vince is gonna just be like, okay, you're just gonna be a Rock parody. There's your gimmick. And then your career's done. So there is that.
So I don't know. To me, that's a mad move by Impact. I don't know exactly what he said, so maybe if I listen to the interview, that'll change my tune.
Could be. But I don't know exactly what he said, but it was basically he in the tweet he said that he total respect to Tessa Blanchard, but there's no way that a man should be wrestling a woman, blah 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 blah, stuff like that.
And I think it's a fair statement. Or, there are exceptions. I think you could do like Amazing Kong, for example, against men, and it works. Or Nia Jax. It's just a size thing. And the thing is,
I would disagree.
I'm not really sure why women particularly want to do the intergender matches, because
it's the only way they can prove to people like Vince McMahon that they can fucking wrestle.
He's not gonna watch it.
Doesn't matter. That's the only way. He specifically is not going to watch it, but other people will.
The people who believe that Tessa Blanchard can't wrestle will never believe that Tessa Blanchard can't wrestle.
No, I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about management people. I'm talking about management people who just, we'll just put the women out there, whatever, as a filler match. I'm talking about management people in wrestling who just don't have an opinion or don't have a high opinion of female wrestling. That's the reason to do an intergender match. To prove that you can wrestle just as good as the men. Not necessarily that you can beat the men, or you're strong as a man, or as fast as a man, or whatever. Which is, by the way, how you're supposed to book those matches. You're supposed to book the smaller female as being faster. Don't book them against quick dudes. And therefore, you can do a float like a butterfly, sting like a bee strategy. That's how you do those matches. If 100%, people aren't clear.
100%. But here's my 2-point counterpoint. Basically, is that it goes back to the concept that those people, if you are working for those people who believe you can't wrestle, they aren't watching. That's just all there is to it. They exist in a world there, and this goes for a lot of people, people who can't defend their political choices, for example, or believe women should get back in the kitchen. These are people that just they are what they are, and you're not necessarily going to change them. And two, if your bosses are willing to book you in a match with Eli Drake, big star in the company, which, it seems like they were, I don't think that they really doubt your wrestling ability.
I would agree. I don't think
they're on board the Tessa gravy train.
I think, Scott D'Amore and Don Callis in no way, any shape or form, believe any kind of misogynist values. There's just no possible way they could. That would shock me to the core that either of those guys actually did think like that.
And the proof is in the booking. 2 of the 4 biggest storylines in this company are Tessa Blanchard versus Taya, and Rosemary's kind of dark, spooky deal with the assorted darkness that is, Sue Young and James Mitchell. So I think like the fact that the women are in a very featured, prominent role of the show uh, rather proves that they're in good shape in Impact.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe, and hey, maybe them releasing Drake is exactly. I don't want to use the word symptom. That's not the right word. Um, an indicator of how things are done behind the scenes in Impact these days. Like, you don't want to wrestle Tessa Blanchard? Uh, okay. Oh, you're going on a podcast and not. I haven't heard the podcast. I don't think he was talking shit. I think he was just talking and is like, well, if I mean that's gonna be the way you think, I think you can't be here anymore because that's not how that's not how the world works anymore. And I don't want to put words in Eli Drake's mouth. Again, haven't heard the podcast, but could be that he has a certain thought process that just is incompatible with how wrestling is anymore. And if he goes to AEW, it's not going to be any better because there's a few females in charge of some shit. But if he goes to WWE, I mean, yeah, no chance he's not going to get ahead because if you're saying he's The Rock's friend and he doesn't have a, you know, higher evaluation of female wrestling, not women, but female wrestling as a product. If that's his thought process, Vince McMahon will suck his dick 5 times a day.
Yeah, it's just I don't. I guess as a non-fan of intergender wrestling, I think that a guy should be allowed to refuse such a booking. Now,
I would agree if I didn't have faith in the Impact. If I didn't have faith in Scott D'Amore and Don Callis to book something like that right, I'd be on board. But I know they can. It's just how that works.
I'd still refuse that booking of myself. But
I would not.
I also wouldn't go on a podcast and say anything potentially negative. Again, not saying that Eli Drake did. We've not heard the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But if he did, that would put him in the wrong.
Yeah, 100%. It's just... also, what does that say about your... what would that say about that wrestlers... not necessarily Eli Drake, but if anybody else was in this position, they're like, I don't want to wrestle a woman. What does that say about the confidence in their own skills? Like, you don't think you can go in there and have a match with a woman and make it believable? What are you, a fucking amateur?
It would be, I think, it would depend on what their reasoning was. Like, I think there's a number of reasons to say no to that booking.
I guess, but the only thing I can think of is financial. Like, are they going to pay you less to wrestle a woman? Because that's bullshit.
I would hope not.
A, that's bullshit, and B, that's stupid. That's the only reason I can see. What if they had suddenly out of the blue booked Rich Swann versus Rosemary? And Rosemary's 100% healthy in this scenario.
I think that's a bad idea because Rich Swann's a pretty fast guy. Going back to your whole, you want the woman to be noticeably faster.
That's definitely the approach to take, I would say. But I mean, I'm bringing up their Wikipedia pages because Rich Swann is 5'8", 168 according to Wikipedia, and Rosemary is 5'8", 150.
That's still almost 2 weight classes in boxing or MMA. That's a significant
correct
advantage.
But you're not gonna see 18 pounds in the ring. What you can do in that particular scenario, they're exactly the same height. They're pretty close in weight. Boxing aside, I mean, they're also very far away in weight if you're gonna measure via atomic, but they're very, very close in size, almost exactly the same size if you were to just see them on the street next to each other.
Yeah, similar.
So you can easily visually play that off, and I just brought these two up off the top of my head because they happen to be on this card. You can visually play that off and book this in a completely different way. It doesn't have to be the lady is faster and therefore can zip around and ding, 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 ding you like a pinball. You can do this a completely different way. You can do submissions. You could do power moves. It's visually appealing. You could visually make Rich Swann versus Rosemary a match that is 100% credible. There's no way you can't do that. You can't convince me that's not a thing. There's just no way. With Rosemary's talent level, Rich Swann's talent level, the booking minds in that company, you can't tell me that isn't a credible match. That can't happen. That's just not on the menu. I'm sorry.
I mean, it's a credible match, and I'm sure it would be perfectly fine.
And things like that can be done. It's just not a possibility that it cannot be done. So, if Eli Drake has a certain opinion about things, cool. That's his opinion. Whatever. That's not my business. But if somebody behind the scenes wanted to make this match and wasn't able to go to Eli Drake and say, this is what we want to do, this is how we want to do it, and this is why we want to do it, and if they couldn't sell him on that, there's something wrong. There's a disconnect. There's an issue.
To play devil's advocate, though, here, you've got a pretty interesting storyline going with Eli Drake and Eddie Edwards. I think you and I have both been enjoying that development.
Yeah.
I feel that storyline kind of gets derailed with an Eli Drake loss. Not even like a specific Eli Drake loss to a woman.
I can instantly book yourself out of that situation.
All right, hit me.
Eli Drake loses to Tessa Blanchard.
Okay.
Eddie Edwards comes up to him the next taping of the next show after the pay-per-view and goes, see, I told you that wouldn't work. And then their relationship gets set back a couple notches. And Eli's like, no, motherfucker, you don't understand. She's this good. And you elevate Tessa Blanchard immediately. Like, you got this guy who's like, fuck you, man. She's this good. You have a guy making excuses. Oh, she tricked me. Oh, she did. Blah, 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 blah. No, you have Eli Drake say, I got my ass kicked by a really good wrestler. Boom, end of story.
I still don't think that brings you back on track with the current dynamic between Edwards and Drake.
Oh, this takes a slightly different deviation. And Eddie Edwards now doesn't, like, he was on board a little bit. He was willing to go with it. He was willing to, but your techniques don't work now. And he's like, no, motherfucker, no, you don't understand. And then you just got to zigzag a little bit and then you get back on track. It just takes, give it an extra 3 weeks and you get more out of the story. You get more TV time, more traction.
Probably I would be more sold on that if it wasn't Eddie Edwards.
I don't understand what you're saying right now.
he's a slightly crazy individual. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has named a kendo stick Kenny, and that is his best friend. He was at an insane asylum. Granted.
Okay, here you add this layer to it.
Okay.
Eddie Edwards, former really excellent technical wrestler, now hardcore retard. Mm-hmm. And I love hardcore wrestling, so don't take that. Just calm down. But he's a little damaged in the brain hole. So Eddie Edwards, former technical excellent wrestler, Noah champion, now doing hardcore shit.
Former American Wolf.
Former American Wolf. You got your boy Eli Drake trying to convince him, come on back to the technical side, come on back to the wrestling side, and then he loses to Tessa Blanchard in a wrestling match. No fucking around wrestling match. And then Eddie Edwards is like, no, clearly you're wrong. It doesn't work. You lost to a girl. And then you get Eli Drake, who former heel, standing up for no, I got my ass kicked by a wrestler, not a girl. You just calm the fuck down. And then you get to do a face heel turn, and then you get it's like there's so many things you can do. I don't understand how it's not possible.
No, it's my problem. It's absolutely possible, but you're adding in more steps to. And granted, you said you have ultimate faith in Don Callis and Scott D'Amore. However, if I may also say, we've also shit on some of their booking with Impact. So it has not been 100% awesome. And it never will be. I mean, every booker is wrong at some point. But the frequency which they've been wrong has been a little higher than if I'm Eli Drake. Got a good storyline going here. It's a storyline that gets convoluted with a loss to Tessa Blanchard, and it requires some booking and so on, and also some time, which you don't necessarily have because Eddie Edwards is having talks with other promotions as well. And this goes for pretty much the entire Impact roster. If you're not aware, a lot of them are shopping their options. And again, this is the environment with AEW and such that we are living in, that the idea that you're going to stick with a promotion for a particularly long period of time, kind of up in the air. And all right, so you've got this storyline. Scott D'Amore and Don Callis are like, all right, here's what we're going to do. This can add a couple of weeks on to your possibly promised tag team title run. Eddie Edwards departs the company, and you're shit out of luck. I mean, you're not done. Eli Drake will, you could find something else, but
well, you just put him on TV like, fuck, he left, what a fucking loser, or like do it. You don't have to bury him, but I mean, like, I tried my best, and he just didn't see it my way.
And I suppose the cherry on top of all of this is you've also got Eli Drake, who is negotiating with WWE. He does have an in through a association with The Rock, not best buddies or anything, but an association. If he then loses, does that hurt his stock?
I don't know, because Vince will make him lose 90% of the time anyway. So I don't see that being a pain.
But that's in WWE, my friend.
Yeah.
And we know how WWE thinks.
They do not. And that's how they think.
Exactly. So I think that there are justifications to not doing this match if I'm Eli Drake. I am now very intrigued to go listen to the podcast because I want to see what his reasons are, what he goes in depth in. Because to flip that script on you, what if Stephanie McMahon sees it and they're like, oh, you're willing to work with the women? I invented women, That has helped no man in the history of WWE.
I invented women, Are you willing to get slapped in the face? Oh, okay. All right. Well, here's $5 million per month.
No. See, every wrestler is willing to get slapped in the face. We've learned this, except for Dave Bautista.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not a thing.
Yeah, so I don't think that would help him in any way in his negotiations with WWE. It might hurt his position in Impact, depending on if they can rebook him back to where he was with Eddie Edwards in a relatively short time frame. So there are some downsides to this. Like, there's no downsides to this for Joey Ryan, who's a guy not on the roster, and also has connections out the fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And in fact is the part owner of PWG. So like his bookings are not in any way in jeopardy. So if I'm
all but confirmed that he got released from his Lucha Underground contract. It's pretty much all but confirmed that he's going to AEW. But I mean, if anybody puts large money on the table, I wouldn't be shocked.
So if I'm Joey Ryan, I take this match. If I'm Eli Drake, I need to see a bit of the planning, and I need to know where this is going. And I also probably want a little bit of a pay raise to stay with Impact over WWE.
Yeah.
And if they can't satisfy those, I think he's within his rights to turn it down. And again, I'm going to hunt down that podcast because I want to see what he said.
I'll have to grab the Wrestle Talk News video clip. It's in one of the video clips that they put up. I don't remember which podcast it was.
Anyways, we then had Rich Swann versus Flamita, which we actually talked about Rich Swann a lot in the prior match. This was for the X Division Championship. It was quite good. I've seen better from both men, but it was damn impressive. It was probably, up until this point, possibly match of the night.
Yeah, I don't have strong feelings on the match one way or the other. It was fine. It was Flamita apparently was a last minute replacement. I don't remember who he was supposed to be wrestling, but it wasn't Flamita. Anyway, I don't remember having any issues with the match. I don't remember having strong feelings about the match. I didn't write anything down. It was probably a fine match.
Sami Callihan, Jimmy Havoc in a Monsters Ball match.
Oh, did we mention all the mouth-to-mouth man stuff on this card?
What well, yeah, we had the Joey Ryan sticking his lollipop in a
No, no,
fan's
no,
mouth.
no. I'm talking about like the spit swap, the water swap
Oh,
between
yeah.
Eddie Edwards and Tommy Dreamer in their match. The like Tommy Dreamer put a big old mouthful of water and then like snowballed that shit down into Eddie Edwards' mouth. That was a bit uncomfortable for me. I'm
To
just
be
trying not to
honest,
be.
that's just Tommy Dreamer.
That's true. Welcome to the party, kid. And then in this match, didn't we have some mouth to mouth man stuff?
With Havoc and Callahan, yeah.
There's some spit happening. A little,
Pretty, I'm
little
pretty sure.
alcohol.
I'm pretty sure Havoc swallowed some of Callahan's spit.
Listen, I'm not in any way homophobic, but it's not sanitary. I don't know where Sammy Callahan's been. It's not right. Okay.
Yeah, Sammy Callahan is not someone I want the spit of on me.
No.
It's not because he's a dude, because you know what? I can name some women in the industry that I also don't want to spit on me.
Correct. ODB.
Oh, was that ODB? Yeah. No, thank you.
9999.
Yeah. This was kind of a torture match in a way. Like we're talking like paper cuts in the toes, paper cuts.
God,
in the fingers.
no. Listen, no, you were not gonna undersell that, you retard. Listen, those were not paper cuts; those were cardboard cuts. That's like comparing a fillet knife with a bone saw. That's ridiculous. That is so painful. And then, like, with your boy Sammy Callahan poured lemon juice all over some wounds, and then your boy Havoc did the cardboard cuts to Sammy Callahan and brought out like a big old thing of salt and rubbed that in the wounds.
Literal
I don't know if
salt
you're
rubbed in the wound.
literal salt rubbed in literal wounds. This is not a metaphor. We're not hyperbolizing. You need to not do that because it hurts so much. Oh my goodness.
Yep.
And the staple guns and newspapers and dear Lord, what the fuck.
Yeah, it was fucked up.
And Jimmy Havoc headbutted him with the trash can on his head. It was great.
That was pretty hilarious, actually.
I enjoyed the shit out of that.
That was like Revenge of R2D2.
Revenge of the Nerds. Yeah, so there's not much you can really say about this other than you do not undersell the devastation a cardboard cut can do. It's so fucking painful. Oh Lord. I've had a few. The inner webbing of my thumbs are actually, you know what? They're not bad these days. It's been a long time.
Callahan went over in the end, and that brings us to the main event: the Lucha Bros taking on Rob Van Dam and Sabu. Relatively short match.
Yeah.
A lot of mugging, like we said earlier. But you know what? Van Dam can still move. Sabu can, for guys at their age, it's not bad. They did not embarrass themselves.
No, not at all. I mean, they did very well. It's never. I knew that it was not going to be anywhere close to like a 4-star match. I was hoping for a 3-star. I think we got probably a 2.5 to a 3-star match, and I was satisfied with that. Sabu approaching his mid-50s and taking all of the damage he's taken, and Rob Van Dam having not wrestled for a while.
There is honestly no logic to the world of wrestling when Sabu can still move and wrestle in his 50s with the way he wrestles.
Well, it's all surface damage. It's fine. But Rob Van Dam also has taken, he has an eye injury or something, is it a brain injury that led to an eye injury? I don't understand. I don't remember. But he's not in a great, fantastic way. But that dude's still in goddamn shape. And that dude can still move around the goddamn ring. And he got divorced last year, so he needs that money.
Well, he does have Miss Katie Forbes to make up for that.
One can only hope. But he is also, again, approaching his 50s. He is 48 as of December 18th of last year. So he need that money. Give him that money. That's all I got to say for you.
He has signed with Impact, apparently.
Yep. Yeah, he signed a long-term contract.
Yep. let's get through Supercard of Honor, as we are now at the 90-minute mark of this podcast.
Well, I mean, that's what you get for taking 93 weeks off.
We'd be doing this long without even if we had been up to date.
That's very true.
So we opened up with the dark match that we didn't get to see, but we opened up the pre-show with the Honor Rumble, 30-man entrance, won by Kenny King, who went coast to coast over 42 minutes.
By hiding under the ring like a bitch.
Well, he only hit her under the ring for the last bit. He was
like a bitch.
Surprise entrance from, I guess, Yushin Thunder Liger, who was last man eliminated. Slightly surprise entrance. Also great Muda.
Yep.
Any other real surprising entrants that you can recall?
I mean, there was PJ fucking Black.
That's not that surprising. He's been doing dates with ROH lately relatively frequently.
And your boy Colton Cabana Jr.
Indeed, he took Toru Yanu's spot when Yano gave him the spot.
And Yano went down anyway, because my boy Yano don't play by no rules, bitch.
Went down to back up. Of course, King Haku. That's the other big surprise entry.
Yeah. And your boy Delirious.
Yeah. Well, Delirious I kind of expected, but yeah, I could see that being a surprise. I mean, it was a Rumble match. I don't really know what else you need to know. It was
the Royal Rumble.
It was the Royal Rumble condensed and in some ways better.
Indeed. After that, we had your boy Jeff Cobb against William Ospreay Jr. Steen. ROH TV title versus the never open weight title, winner take all. And it was a pretty good match. I enjoyed it.
It's a really good match.
Your boy, you just watched this like an hour and a half ago, pretty much. Why don't you expound about your theories while I go to the bathroom? I'll be right back.
I don't have any particularly large theories on the match.
Expound, goddammit! Expound for a minute!
Go to the bathroom. The next match is a squash anyway, so I can cover. Yeah, Jeff Cobb, powerhouse, amazing wrestler. Matan's on Lucha Underground, if you're unaware. Will Ospreay, the aerial assassin, great work. Going through this kind of shift in his style of wrestling to a more brutal, less aerial version of himself. And it paired up well with Jeff Cobb. This was a very, very good match. Go out of your way to see it. And, I mean, honestly, go out of your way to see anything with these two men, just in general. It was a fantastic match. I hesitate to say match of the night. So, I mean, you got an IWGP Heavyweight Championship match on here. You've got a Kota Ibushi match on here, which is always great. You've got you had the 4-way for the tag title. So, I mean, there was a lot of other good stuff here. Maybe it's just because I just watched this match and it's a little fresh in my mind, but it did feel like pretty close to the match of the night for me. And Jeff Cobb is now your never open weight and ROH World Television Champion. Not sure how I feel about the winner take all gimmick that they used in this match, and across this card. You also had it later on with the tag titles as well, where you had both the IWGP and ROH tag titles up for grabs in the same match. Not really sure about putting that much gold on just individual people, but if you're going to have a double champion, Jeff Cobb is a pretty solid option to have that double champion on.
All the gold in the world.
Then we had Rush destroy Dalton Castle. Take it away.
They keep calling him Roosh. I don't agree with that.
Rush, however you want to say it, destroyed Dalton Castle.
Yeah, 15 seconds flat. I understand that they wanted this. They wanted to do two things. A, they want to put Rush over huge, which I guess this does. But they also, I guess, want a new character angle for Dalton Castle. So this accomplishes two things at the same time. The fact of the matter is that I didn't like that they did it like this on a pay-per-view. I wanted a match. I wanted a really good match between the Dalton Castle and the hype machine that is Rush. And I got neither of those things.
Yeah, and at the end he turned on the boys. perhaps blaming them for the loss, destroyed them. And I'm interested to see where this goes in a storyline sense, but I could have dealt with a short match. But yeah, 15-second destruction, little too little. Like, at least give me 8 minutes. That could probably tell this a similar story and achieve all of your goals.
All of them in the world.
Then we had Kelly Klein Kelly Klein challenging Mayu Iwatani for the Women of Honor Championship. Pretty solid match. Iwatani is a pretty good wrestler, as you would expect from a Joshi. Kelly Klein is perfectly capable. I'm not necessarily amped to see her wrestle, but she's perfectly fine.
I think she needs to just a slight tweak on the persona. She needs to be less of this. They seem to be portraying her as like a female Kurt Angle type character. I think she needs to be more of a female Samoa Joe. She needs to just get in there, wreck shit, and take what she wants, rather than the ultimate competition machine that was Kurt Angle back in the day. It's not really. It doesn't seem to jive well.
I think it's also that they don't have a deep enough division for that particular gimmick to work fully. Like Kurt Angle's gimmick worked because you were in a Shark Tank of very, very good wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case here. And after the match, Velvet Sky and Angelina Love made their debut. I think this is their first showing in ROH.
Yeah, I think one of them might have been around, but not both of them at the same time.
Anyways, basically, beautiful people are back. Mandy Leone came to back up Kelly Klein, only to smash her in the back with a one of those big ass high heels she had on.
Hell yeah!
And they gave her the Scarlet A. Two ladies came to back her up, Jenny Rose and Stella Gray, but they did so in that one at a time.
Yeah, that BS dumb face things.
Yeah, dumb face thing.
My only problem
with the Gargano thing.
My only problem with this is that after they had done the shit, what's their faction? Allure. Okay, with the Anarchy A, which is so dumb. But I can understand they want they want very fast and high profile recognition for this, and that's the way to do it. The problem is that anybody who sees that Anarchy A is going to be mad. So you've done it wrong.
My other problem is that you're trying to establish Women of Honor as a division, a really solid one, and you've brought in
useless divas.
Two pretty shitty wrestlers. Like Angelina Love, okay wrestler. Not that hot, ironically. They've always portrayed
one
her
of them is.
I'm not. No, Velvet Sky is the hot one. Velvet Sky does all kinds of things south of the equator. But Angelina Love, I've always found, is just like kind of a botched plastic surgery doll.
Her hair's too tall and her ass is non-existent. I mean,
well, it's also it also is the fact that she definitely has some serious eating habit problems.
Yeah.
But hey, fill some time. I got to figure out if she's still with Davey Richards.
You go right ahead. Yeah. Well, I was gonna say my only real problem is that after the match, and they do the lipstick anarchy on her forehead, Kelly Klein didn't do anything about it. She just kind of was moping in the ring and doing whatever it was she was doing before finally getting out of the ring. Like, they fucking put a thing on your forehead. Wipe it the fuck off. Be angry. Be like, get pissed off. You're the champion. You need to fucking you need kick it into like a gear or something.
It feels like they definitely did this to the wrong girl.
Yeah.
They gave Kelly Klein like not a character appropriate reaction in any way. And the answer is no. They divorced in 2017.
Davey Richards is free.
True. We had Bully Ray's bit after this, where he came out for his
fight. Yeah, that was weird. They brought out this guy named Mega Ran, and I was aware of who Mega Ran was because he was making wrestler-based rap songs. And then I don't remember who it was. I think it was Steven Larson before I stopped following them. I think Steven Larson, I could be wrong, but some pro wrestling YouTube channel was basically posting Mega Ran songs for him or as part of at the end of their segment or whatever it was. So I know who he is or what he's supposed to be about. Um, so they had Mega Ran come down to the ring and kind of rap over his rap track that's already rapping in the background. And the entire crowd went, what the fuck? Like, they all just kind of, this is the type of WWE bullshit I expect. This is not what I expect from, ROH and New Japan. This is not a thing. And so he came out and got, like, -0 pop. And then Bully Ray comes out and intimidates them, and he just goes, "Hey man, I don't want no problem. Just let me leave. Just let me leave. Just let me leave." And then Bully Ray like punches him or something, and he falls over. And then he immediately gets up and gets right in Bully Ray's face, like, "I ain't scared." And then Bully Ray pushes him and like, "You're supposed to be out of the ring now, you retard." And he rolls towards the ropes very slowly, and Bully Ray like whoops him with the chain. I think at least once. I'm pretty sure that chain made contact. And then your boy Flip Gordon's music plays, and the crowd goes fucking bananas. It was tremendous.
It was one of the pops of the night for sure.
Indeed. So Flipperoo comes down. Flipperoo Goldara! Marty and Flip take Japan. Dude, I could totally get down on some Marty and Flip take Japan. I need some of that. So Flip Gordon and Bully Ray are having a match, and then your boy Silas Young and Thunderbutt 5000 Shane Taylor comes down, and they start whooping the shit out of Flipperoo Goldara. And then Juice Robinson and Mark Haskins come down, and they continue. So it goes from being, it was supposed to be Juice versus Bully Ray in a street fight. And then Juice got jumped very early in the evening to set up the fact that I guess Bully Ray's just going to be unopposed one more time. And so it turned into a six-man tag without the tag street fight, which I enjoyed. I was watching the Wrestle Talk news earlier, and they seemed to be confused or like even a little miffed by the fact that this was supposed to be like, no one explained that it was now it's a six-man street fight. I was like, I don't think it needs to be explained.
It's a street fight that's effectively unsanctioned. I mean,
yeah,
not much to explain.
I'm fine with the, if you're gonna do this, just go for it. Go the whole way, baby. I'm kind of disappointed that he didn't call the rest of Lifeblood out to just kick the shit out of Thunderbutt 5000, your boy Misery, and Bubba Ray Dudley. But eventually, Flip and Lifeblood have become victorious. I don't, again, have strong memories of the match, but I remember it being sufficient and enjoyable.
The amusing thing watching this match, part of it anyways, after having seen the rest of the show, was Bully Ray digging around for a table under the ring and giving away the fact that there was a purple ladder down there, which will come into play later on.
Oh, you like a purple ladder? You would, you strut.
Next up, Taiji Ishimori putting the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title on the line against Bandito and Dragon Lee. Take it away.
Hey, it was a very compressed spot fest. And Dragon Lee won. Moving on.
Sub 9 minute 3-man match. Yeah, that's not enough time.
I mean, you only had Rush versus Dalton Castle for 15 seconds. I can't get more than not 8 minutes 54 seconds for a 3-man balls out extravaganza. Come on, baby. Come on.
Then we had the winner take all 4-way for the ROH and IWGP champions, with champions God and Villain Enterprises.
Vanilla Enterprises? Ice baby. Ding, 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 ding.
And challengers, Los Ingobernables de Japón, represented by Evil and Sonata, and the Briscoe brothers.
C. Or as we like to call them, Los Briscoe brothers.
This was a really solid match. I thought the MVP of it was, surprisingly enough, PCO.
Yeah. That guy's all the personality in the world.
We're talking while we watched this about how is PCO the latest peaking wrestler of all time? And I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I can't think of a single person who could top that. Again, no strong memories of this match other than the Briscoes doing Briscoe things. And the God come away with the title, both titles, because this is for all the marbles. And my boy Yano snatching them IWGP titles. I almost sneezed. Oh, no, it's not coming.
This is, of course, a repeat of what led to Yano and Ishii winning the belts. So
yeah, boy.
It'll be fun.
He's definitely going to hold them shits hostage so that he can get all the gold.
Things got interesting. By interesting, I mean Enzo and Cash showed up.
Yeah. So there was a run-in. That was weird because I saw the big blonde mop and I saw one of the Briscoes, probably Mark.
I believe it was Jay, but I have to go back.
Could be. Well, it's either Jay or Mark. Either way, I'm 50% right. One of the Briscoes was going, air quotes, toe to toe with some blonde frizzy mop who was clearly not part of the match, clearly did not come down the ramp, and must have come over the barricade. And you and I pretty quickly identified that that's got to be Enzo. If it's not Enzo, it's somebody doing the worst impression in the world, because you don't want to be that guy. But I, instantaneously recognized that this toe-to-toe battle is a wrestling toe-to-toe. These are worked punches. This is wrestling, not fighting. Like, if this was fighting, he would have just fucking grabbed the guy and twisted his head off. And then they go right to the announcer booth. And over the shoulder of the announcers, you can clearly see that shit's going on. They're filming back over the shoulder of the announcers, clearly on camera several times. I was able to point this out to you. Like, wait, watch this. That guy right there. That's clearly Enzo. And then there was this taller dude who, after 2 or 3 shots on camera, was clearly Cass. And if this is the way you're going to do it, I think it was a pretty good move. But then they fucked it all up. They fucked all of it up.
I fucked it up on Twitter by retweeting some stuff about this. So, yeah.
Yeah, they tipped their hat. Not as bad as the WWE did later. We'll get to that. But they tipped their hat way too early. And they could have rode some serious notoriety for at least 2 weeks.
Yep, that would have been good. Bully Ray got involved, and I think that more or less also sums up the whole thing.
Yeah.
On to a match that we're probably going to not like more than a lot of people. British Heavyweight Championship, Zack Sabre Jr., Hiroshi Tanahashi.
Yeah, Tanahashi did Tanahashi things. Zack Sabre Jr. did boring rest holds 90% of the time, and eventually won with a submission that took him way too long to lock on all the way, and that's the end of that match.
And we had a very good match between Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP IC title, which was won by Kota Ibushi.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to go back and watch this match again because there's probably a bunch of stuff that I missed that I should have really should have made more of an impression. So I'm kind of interested. I kind of want to go back and just really rewatched this one. Ibushi did great Ibushi things. There was a solid, like, an attempt at a deadlift German over the ropes, and then a real deadlift German over the ropes. And Naito being Naito, doing Naito things, and Tranquilo. I enjoyed it a great deal. But I, again, would like to go back. I feel like I missed a bunch of stuff, and I don't
like,
know why that is.
I feel like we're just a wrestling overload for that.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Fuck Jesus. Yeah. Like, how many hours of wrestling did we watch? Was it like 18 hours of wrestling in 4 days?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We had Jay Lethal defending against Marty Scurll and Matt Taven, ROH World Title, in a ladder match. This is where that purple ladder I mentioned before came in, as it gained Matt Taven the victory.
Indeed, the purple. Once the purple ladder came out, it was kind of a giveaway that Matt Taven was winning. But you kind of wanted him to lose, even though he brought his own purple ladder. My bad. But once he brought out the purple ladder, you kind of wanted him to lose even harder, which is kind of a genius move.
He's such an asshole.
He is. I like him in interviews, though. His interviews with Caprice Coleman are fucking hilarious. I don't know. I would have, and you and I were talking the whole time, saying, what's the contract situation with Marty Scurll? It's obvious that he's going to go to AEW eventually, whenever the contract's up, which is probably almost a year at this point. So, do you keep the title on Lethal? Do you give the title to Scurll now that he's got a faction? What do you do? But I think, like, the long-term money is Matt Taven's younger than Jay Lethal, so you might as well establish him now, I guess. And I don't know. Like, I would have been happier from a fan standpoint if Jay Lethal would have retained or Scurll won. But I kind of also want to see what Matt Taven does from here on out in terms of interview and personality-wise.
Absolutely, I'd get down with that. I think he was the right winner, and it gives Jay Lethal something to chase, because the lethal reign had kind of been played out a little bit, unfortunately.
Well, they just didn't give him anything to do. Like, they gave him a big push towards the title, and then he got the title, and then nothing. Like, I don't remember hearing anything.
That was kind of the problem with his big push to the title, though, is he kind of beat anyone that you would really be hyped to see him in a title match with.
Yeah.
And it really depleted the contenders row.
What if he had a match against PCO?
I don't think it would be particularly good.
Hurtful. I will tell Pierre you said that. He come to your house, force feed you poutine, tell you weigh 400 pounds.
Oh, I'll pass.
Oh, come on, poutine's good.
Then we had IWGP World Heavyweight Championship match. Jay Lethal defending against Kazuchika Okada.
Yep. Oh, no, you said Jay Lethal, didn't you? You bastard.
Jay White, pardon me.
Indeed. Jay White versus Jay Lethal? Is that a match we could care about?
I think it'd be fun.
Could be fun. If it may, okay, Jay Lethal versus Jay White in an actual fun match. I would watch the shit out of that. This match, however, wasn't excited. Wasn't like it didn't. This was 32 minutes and 33 seconds of me just waiting for Okada to finally start laying down some rainmakers, and he did towards the end, and then he won. And I think the Jay White experiment is over for now. That being said, he is the leader of Bullet Club, and still has Gato in his corner. So I don't know.
I don't think the experiment is over by a long shot.
I never pretend to know what Gato is thinking, but I don't get excited for any Jay White matches. They're just not exciting. They're matches that happen, and that's the end of that story.
I think,
he doesn't.
Well, when we were talking about this, we were thinking that it was very weird that Jay White, who has worked with guys like Kenny Omega, Kazuchika Okada, a number of other very highly talented guys, and has produced matches that are okay. They're serviceable. They're acceptable. But they're not amazing with these guys. And yet he went in there with Hangman Page and had an amazing, probably not an amazing match, but
I remember that was a good match.
Probably around 4 stars.
That was a good match. That was the one match I could point to on Jay White's resume that was a good match.
And it's just kind of bizarre to me that like you would kind of rise above it with Hangman, but your matches with Okada would be like 3.25-ish, maybe 3.5 if I'm feeling generous.
Yeah.
Which is well below the Okada norm. Like, I mean, Okada's a guy who, in my opinion, dragged like a 4-star match at a Bad Luck Fale. I mean,
yeah. It's not. Jay White he lowers the standard. That's all there is to it. You take the Kenny Omega U.S. title match where he won. That's not a Kenny Omega match. The Okada match, or did he beat Okada for the title? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure
that's how much
for the title.
Oh right, yeah. So he beat Tanahashi for the title. I'm not the biggest Tanahashi fan in the world. That's not a Tanahashi match. Like that match that just happened, that's not an Okada match. Point to anybody he's wrestled. That's not the match that I would that is not the standard of match I would expect to come out of that guy. And it's always him that is the factor bringing it down. He brings down the standard of match quality that I am to expect from the person I see wrestling against him every single time. There's nothing else I can say about that. Hopefully he gets better.
We are also on the verge of the second ever time we might have 3 champions in a row not defend the IWGP World Heavyweight title, which has not happened since the late 80s because Tanahashi failed to defend after winning against Omega. Jay White now has failed to win since winning over Tanahashi.
I don't think they're going to let Okada lose it. Okay, so if Okada loses the title without a defense, it's because of shenanigans. If they try and put Jay White over to reclaim the title from Okada after the G1 climax sometime in September, or I guess before, maybe June or July, right before the G1 climax, there has to be massive Bullet Club interference. If you try and tell me that Jay White's just going to suddenly come back and beat the Okada, you can fuck off and die.
Yeah, it wouldn't really make any sense if he were to just do that. But, I mean, it'll probably be a rematch because, of course, Jay White was undefeated against Okada prior to this match in singles action. So the storyline is there.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree in any way, shape, or form, but is this Gato's way of making Okada the super ubermensch of all time, or is he trying to use a stopgap white boy to fill in for what Omega was supposed to be?
Yeah, the whole AEW thing has put Gato in a bit of a sticky situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to see what he does to get out of it. I have confidence he'll find a way.
Oh yeah, 100%. I just don't think it's with Jay White.
And then we have WrestleMania. I'm talking kind of
Lord
low because my roommate was like, a little angry about this.
This is the worst pay-per-view I have ever seen. No, I mean not the worst.
It really is not.
It's not. It could have been, but it was not. I'm looking at the timestamps here on Wikipedia, and literally every match it's 10:40, 10:30, 13:20, and 10:20. Like you had 2 hours of pre-show, and you didn't even fill it with a full hour of wrestling. Did somebody not tell WWE they were a wrestling show?
And that includes the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial Battle Royal.
It's both Battle Royals. Yeah, both Battle Royals plus a cruiserweight
and a cruiserweight title match.
Yeah, exactly. 2 title matches and 2 Battle Royals, and you can't even fill a whole hour. You are fucking kidding me? What a bunch of bullshit.
And they still do a lot of over promotion within. Like, they were still running promo packages for matches that weren't happening yet on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm already here. I've either paid my money, or I'm illegally streaming it, or whatever. There's no more money to get out of me.
No, you have my attention. I'm here watching. Then they hyped up the women's match about 8 times. They put promo packages on at least 8 times throughout this entire fucking shenanigans. From opening match, they definitely interrupted the shit out of Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy, which was the opening match, which was fine. It was a good, let's just get over that right now. This is a solid match. You should definitely watch it. It's enjoyable. Tony Nese won because Tony Nese OP, please nerf. But they interrupted the first third of the match with a big promo package that they put on dual screen just to make sure you knew that there was a women's match coming on, brother. And, bro, that's like a full work day in the future. What the fuck? Holy shit. So yeah, so Tony Nese beat Buddy Murphy in 10 minutes and 40 seconds. Solid match. No complaints. No real hype I can generate around that. Any rebuttal for that?
I think I can generate a little bit of hype from it. I think it was a very good match, and I think sadly it set the bar that most of the rest of the card didn't actually reach.
I can totally agree with all of that shenanigans. We had the women's battle royal. Long story short, they made the absolute wrongest decision they could make, and they're sticking their dick balls deep, baby. Because Carmella hid outside the ring, under the ring, whatever the fuck, and just when you thought Sarah Logan had won, and they were pushing a new, fresh face, somebody who deserves to be a star, somebody who's got personality, in-ring skill, all that stuff, they take a giant diarrhea shit right in your mouth and make Carmella jump in the ring and throw her out. And Carmella can't wrestle, and Carmella doesn't have a personality, and there's no reason to hate or applaud. Hey, Kat, how's it going? There's no reason to give a 1/8 of 2 shits about Carmella.
It wasn't the worst possible outcome because you had Maria Kanellis and Lana in the match.
Hey, if Lana, come on, dude. If Lana would have won,
okay. Here's the deal: Lana can wrestle. In our theory, we've seen some good things, but they don't really let her. And Maria Kanellis cannot wrestle, so that would have been worse.
Would be the greatest royal battle you've ever seen.
But, like, I mean, coming into this, I'm like, okay, Asuka should probably win. And then I was, like, oddly happy when Sarah Logan was last one standing, because I'm like, this kind of breathes some life into a very stale Riot Squad. Maybe you've got a little friction.
You've got friction. But more like I'm saying, like a fresh new face, and maybe not a fresh new face. They've seen this face, but oh my god, they're gonna push. Holy shit, they're gonna push somebody. They're gonna push somebody. What the fuck? Oh my god! No, wait. They're taking a giant diarrhea shit right in your mouth. Yeah. Somebody with no personality, no in-ring ability.
I will give some shout-outs though. There were some ladies that actually were really impressive in the match. Specifically Dana Brooke, who was bizarrely, kind of the weird thing is when WWE had faith in Dana Brooke, she didn't have the skills to actually pay the bills. She's kind of developed very, very quietly into a reasonable worker. Like, there's still some things, and we haven't seen her have like a really good singles match, so I don't know. But like, she's capable of doing some good spots now.
Oh yeah.
And now, of course, at the time, they have zero faith in her.
Yeah, I mean, they shit the bed early and they shit the bed often. What are you gonna do? I mean, Asuka obviously should have won, but they've shit on her. They've shit a giant diarrhea dump right in her mouth since day one on the main roster. So that's not surprising.
About the
But
only good
yeah,
thing
like
they did was
you had the
they did
genuine enthusiasm of oh my god, they're gonna actually do something cool with somebody new and fresh and awesome and cool, and they didn't, and they took the worst possible fucking route right into hell.
that's about all I have to say on that.
Pretty much. We had your boy Curtis Hawkinston's and Zack Ryder inexplicably and for no reason challenging the Revival for the Raw Men's Tag Team Championship of the entire Galactiverse. And
These belts are dead.
these belts are dead. Your boy Kurt Hawkins got the roll up win. I genuinely loved the theme and the story throughout this match. The Revival are great. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins are great. None of this is their fault. I blame none of the wrestlers in here. This sits on this is a giant turd in Vince McMahon's dumbass ear. I'm using a lot of shit references. I don't know why. Probably because it's WWE. The wrestlers in this match were fantastic. No argument is possible.
They told a very solid story. The match itself
Yeah.
was mechanically very good. The Revival are really good. People forget that Kurt Hawkins is very good, but he is. And Zack Ryder is actually quite good as well. And they got great crowd reactions because, Hawkins' hometown and everything, and Ryder's hometown as well. And when they won, it was a huge pop. But the guy who lost, what was it, 296 matches in a row?
96 or 69. I think 69 is funnier, but it might have been 96.
It was 296 matches in a row. Just won his first match in almost 300 matches in 1 year. Titles.
I have a sneaking suspicion that at the time that we were recording this, probably 3 hours ago, they ripped those titles out of Zack Ryder's hands yet again because they hate Zack Ryder. And
I want to say, like, remember when I was saying I was kind of advocating for Kurt Hawkins to be the tag team partner of Braun Strowman and have them take the titles off the bar?
Yeah.
That was because it was basically going to be Strowman. He was going to be a placeholder. In this particular partnership, one, he did probably close to 50% of the work. And two, it's not like Zack Ryder's a hot talent right now either.
This equals truth.
So
apparently, according to Bleacher Report, UVA takes down TTU and Epic OTTTGGG thing. I don't know what any of that means. So that's fun. I was trying to find out like wrestling results, but they're trying to be idiots.
Then we have the Andre the Giant Battle Memorial or Memorial Battle Royal. Man, that is a really wordy name.
And the Andre the Bajortal thingamabob with the thing, and the guys and the suplex and the mulligan and the glavin.
And basically, all this was to get Colin Jost and Michael Che on the card to hide under the ring.
Fuck, what an atrocious nonsense.
Then get eliminated at the end by Braun Strowman. At least they didn't have the win.
Yeah. Oh, apparently Undertaker appeared on Raw after not being at WrestleMania. Scrolling. That's all they have for that. Apparently that's the only thing that happened on Raw. What about Bleacher Report? What the absolute shit? Look, the streak is over, Chris is over, something. They got a picture of Hawkins and Ryder looking exhausted. And I don't know if this is post WrestleMania or like actually on Raw. And Bleacher Report, your app is not letting me actually click on all of the highlights. Like I'm clicking very hard right now, and it's just not happening. Bleacher Report, fix your dumb fucking shit. Yeah. But basically, putting any celebrity in any wrestling scenario at all has universally failed horribly, spectacularly, and this is no exception. Please never, ever do this again, you fucking bag of retards. Jesus.
Apparently, Undertaker's appearance was after Elias was performing and saying that the next man to interrupt him is a dead man. That's when Undertaker came out.
I mean, that's funny. Funny-ish.
I'm looking for if Hawkins and Ryder did anything. I think we can move
It
on.
looks like they actually had a match. Hot tag, blah, 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 blah. Scott Dawson dash Wilder cuts Hawkins off from Ryder. Worked him over. They pummel the lovable loser, utilizing ground and pound attack, blah, blah, blah. Hot tagged Ryder, sparked a babyface comeback. Shortly thereafter, inaction broke down. Ultimately, the champions retained when Hawkins scored a schoolboy roll up on Dawson for a second consecutive upset.
Lars Sullivan made his debut.
Nice. Did he destroy anybody's butthole?
Kurt Angle.
That's the wrong move, but that's what I expect from retards like Vince.
Don't worry, we'll have more on Angle later.
Yeah.
So we opened up the show with.
Oh, wait, hold on, time out. Apparently they buried Bayley again. They buried Bayley against somebody who wasn't even able to wrestle and should have been retired 18 months ago, Alexa Bliss. Bury Bayley. Time to bury all your faces.
Not really a fan of anything they've done with Bayley, pretty much.
Bury every face you've got, baby. Oh yeah, bury him hard.
Seth Rollins won the Universal title in 2.5 minutes over Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman saying if Brock's not going to be the main event, let's get it over with now. And yeah, he just curb stomped him into oblivion, basically.
I found this to be fun and refreshing. Which is not what you want for your main title, you goddamn idiots.
I don't know. I was actually perfectly fine with this.
Like, no, I was too at the time, but it's the wrongest thing you can do with your biggest title. The absolute wrongest thing you can do. I understand that wrongest is not a word, but I'm using it to prove how wrong they are to make me use a word that doesn't exist. But at the time, and I will continue to defend it, fresh, fun, and exciting. And not really that exciting, just fresh and fun.
AJ Styles defeated Randy Orton it was a match.
It definitely was an match. Way too long.
I liked the story of Randy attacking the arm and preventing him from doing the phenomenal forearm, but I mean, I don't know. It's a Randy Orton match.
I was going to say, didn't he do it anyway?
Probably. I don't even remember.
Don't even remember.
The Usos defended their titles successfully against Aleister Black, Ricochet, Rusev, Shinsuke Nakamura, and The Bar.
Boring.
But it was a tag team clusterfuck. It's what it is.
It's pretty boring.
Shane McMahon versus The Miz in a Falls Count Anywhere match, which the only interesting thing here would be when was Mr. Miz going to get involved, and also how many times were we going to have to hear, "Here comes the money."
Oh, I love that. The only good part of this was Shane McMahon forcing the guy to do his intro over and over and over and over again. Was it like 3 times? At least
I believe it was 3 times.
3 times he made him do the intro over and over. I love that. That was great. That was some straight heel shit. I enjoyed that a great deal. The match was garbage. The finish was garbage. The match largely a waste. They should have just not had it on. Just not have it.
The match was fine, although the finish was garbage because it was basically, I'm going to suplex you off the top of something really high, and we're both going to hit the ground and eat largely the same bump. But you're on top of me, so I'm going to get pinned. So stupid, stupid, stupid face.
It's what I expect out of The Miz. It's total garbage, front to back. As soon as The Miz came out, the whole match went to shit in a handbasket. The only good part was Shane McMahon coming out and making him do the intro repeatedly. That was fantastic. Just don't have this match ever again.
The storyline for this whole thing it wasn't very good. Like, I mean, the storyline was basically...
And oddly enough, it's the only storyline they had coming into this entire thing.
Yeah, I mean, the storyline here was basically that the Miz's dad is a dick. That was the storyline.
That's what fucking Bradshaw and the King were saying. No one else is saying that. And you know that Bradshaw and the King can't be tolerated, let alone listened to.
The problem, the reason that they're largely correct, though, is that if you think about this, The Miz is a wrestler who we don't like him, but let's run down the credentials. Main event of WrestleMania. Former heavyweight champion. Multi-time intercontinental champion. A couple of tag belts, I think, as well. Maybe U.S. title in there. Very, very accomplished wrestler. In the world of fake wrestling where actual in-ring ability doesn't matter. Problem is that this storyline was basically, Shane, you won the best in the world title. And I want to tag up with you so that my dad accept me.
Brutal.
And that's what I mean is, all right, I'm sorry, if my dad, and I can't relate to this because I guess I just don't have daddy issues, but if my dad did not appreciate what I was doing at the top of my field, sorry, there's just nothing.
Fuck that guy.
Well, yeah, A, fuck that guy, and B, it's not going to happen. So let's learn to live without it. And the storyline here was basically that The Miz, who is 38 years old, hasn't learned to live with that.
Even though he's got a wife with giant fake tits, giant fake ass, giant fake hair, and all the money in the world, that he apparently, according to his rebuttal to John Oliver, has been given above and beyond every opportunity that any man could ever want, even though he's been clearly... I mean, he is the guy that apparently fails upwards. So, yeah, I can understand his perspective. But everybody else who's put actual work in to become a great wrestler, where he has not, has been shit on by Vince McMahon.
I mean, here's... just to touch on the John Oliver stuff real quick, just because you brought it up. The whole thing with any rebuttal of John Oliver doesn't actually work. Because John Oliver's basic points were that considering the money made by the company that they work for, the wrestlers of WWE make exceedingly little. They are, in fact, of the sort of performance-based semi-sport arcs of Major League Baseball, MLS, NHL, NFL, NBA, UFC, and boxing. They make roughly 11% of the revenue goes to the talent. Now, we've talked in the past about how bad the UFC pays its fighters, correct?
Indeed.
Would you believe that the UFC pays their fighters a larger percentage of the revenue than WWE pays the wrestlers?
Yes, because the fighters could literally beat the shit out of Dana White.
I don't think that has anything to do with it.
It really doesn't. It really has nothing to do with it. But I thought it would be funny.
But the UFC pays back 14% of their revenue to the fighters, which is still ridiculously low because the major leagues pay between 45 and 51% back to the players. So when you break down those numbers and then you get into the whole stupid they're independent contractors, despite the fact that everything about their job is employees, you end up with the fact that what John Oliver said is 100% correct. And it doesn't matter what any wrestler says, because, I mean, hell, Hulk Hogan ratted out the union, or Jesse Ventura for the union thing, because he was making money. We're not saying that every wrestler isn't making money. We're saying that, on the whole, the return for the level of revenue is very low. And the whole definition of who's an independent contractor and an employee is exceedingly low. So anything The Miz says about how he's been given opportunity or he's made a lot of money doesn't matter, because at best he's talking about himself and not the whole thing.
Correct.
It's not even a rebuttal.
Not even close.
And then we move on to the low point of the night, the Iconics.
Holy shit.
Winning the women's tag team belts.
Listen.
In a match with the Divas of Doom, the Hug and Boss Connection, and Nia Jax and Tamina.
Listen. I know I've made a lot of shit references in the poo-poo variety, But the colonics, and I put this up in the Vince picks. This is the worst. I'm gonna go back to it. The wrongest thing you can do, and they did it. And they did it in less than 11 minutes for a fatal 4-way tag team match. You have
by a
got
significant margin.
you have got 8 people in a match for a title that you just created, and you shit all over it and smeared your butthole on the fucking buckle, and just like you might as well just like deleted the titles from existence. This is the worst thing in the world.
They've been doing the same thing with the North American title in NXT, where we create a belt, and rather than establish its prestige by putting it on a worthy champion and giving them a reasonable run to showcase the belt, they fail in their first defense. And Bayley and Sasha Banks were the exact right people to have these belts.
Mm-hmm.
They lost them immediately to the Iconics at WrestleMania. We're trying to bring prestige to the women's division, and you put the belts on 2 of your worst workers.
2 of the people who, they can't wrestle. One of them looks like they eat bees every 2 minutes of every day. I mean, that has nothing to do with their ability, but it's true. And they have no personality. They're just dumb fucking bitches.
Well, and to go back,
so if you want dumb fucking bitches to be the head of your fucking dumb fucking company, you've fucking done it right, because you have the Colonics holding your tag titles, and you've got retard Carmella, Carmella, whatever. I don't give a fuck. You've got 3 people who cannot work that are getting big wins on the absolute biggest stage of your goddamn company's platform of the year. Take the women's division out back and just shoot it in the head, you idiots.
And it's pretty sad, because a lot of the rest of the handling of the women's division, I mean, hell, they got the main event here and everything, is very good. And yet this match was such an exceeding low point, because, it's just bad. I'm sorry. And
the worst thing.
And the Iconics are also a great example of what I was talking about before, of like characters that make no sense as wrestlers. Why are these girls wrestling?
Nobody knows. They're just bitches.
It seems like their goal in life is to look pretty and be famous for looking pretty. And I mean, it may say some exceedingly negative things about society as it is, but there's a market for that.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, just dumb fucking bitches that have a lot of plastic surgery, and then you pay them money. I'm not really sure how that's supposed to be a thing. Never figured it out.
And they have a number of these. I mean, Carmella used to be this character. She's now fun-loving dance girl, which I guess is
stupid.
A different breed, but also one that doesn't make sense as a wrestler. And yeah, like there's no motivation for these girls to be wrestlers or to want the belts, other than they're shiny, I guess, and theoretically worth money. And they are your champions. Okay.
Piece of trash. Also, on the Raw after WrestleMania, they jobbed out Bayley to. We said this already, but I found a timestamp. Apparently, Bliss beat Bayley in less than 3.25 minutes. Less than 2.25 minutes. My bad.
Unless it was a dirty finish of some kind, that is.
Doesn't matter. Fuck off. I don't give a fucking shit. This is the dumbest fucking thing in the world.
Next match was very oddly placed in the card. It was the singles match for the WWE Championship. Kofi Kingston challenging Daniel Bryan. And,
the reason they put it where it is because this should have been the main event. And this is not a sexist thing. Calm down. But the emotional upswell of support behind Kofi Kingston and the like, just the sheer amount of outpouring of just kind of like emotion and goodwill and support and stuff like that the thing you want behind a babyface, Vince. If you had no clue what you were doing, which you clearly don't. The amount of all of that, the momentum should have made this the main event. So since they couldn't do that because Stephanie had invented women, and really, I mean, honestly, it should have. If it hadn't been for Kofi Kingston, there would be a clear-cut case, no question, that the women should be the main event. But since they needed the women to be the main event because Stephanie McMahon's invention of women needs to be the forefront of things, and they deserve it. I mean, 100%. Becky Lynch is the biggest star in wrestling today. End of story. You can't argue it. That's just how it is.
And I'd probably put Ronda Rousey in the top 10 and Charlotte in the top 15.
Yeah, absolutely. These three deserve underline, boldface, italicized, deserve to be the main event. But because of the popular upswelling of support for Kofi Kingston, you have to have this way back on the card. You have to do it. Because you need, from a directorship standpoint, you need some breathing space between the actual emotional high point of the show and what should have been the emotional high point of the show. I don't really know how to equivocate that any better. I don't have the terms in my head right now.
I still think they put it too far forward. Like, this was match 10 on the 16 match card, so you had 5 matches to breathe between this. Yeah, I mean, okay, put the Triple H Batista match after that. That's kind of important. Put Kurt Angle's retirement match beyond that. Okay, that's kind of
Jesus, that should have been the curtain jerker. That should have been on the pre-show. That was fucking trash.
Put Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre, because I mean, Reigns returned from cancer. I mean, okay, big deal. But like, why is Joe and Mysterio and Balor versus Lashley after
I don't know,
the world title match?
I think it's just filler. Like, to skip ahead a little bit, I think the Rey Mysterio Joe match, if we want to touch on it really quick, Mysterio's hurt. That's just how that is. He got hurt pretty bad by Corbin.
And he got squashed in a minute by Samoa Joe.
Yeah, so he was hurt. So what you want to do is you want to get your boy Joe out there. You want to get him some heat. And you want him to squash the little guy and make him look like a giant bully and make people hate him. The problem is everybody loves Joe, and that's never going to work. And Vince doesn't fucking clue in. Doesn't have a goddamn clue in a bucketful. God damn.
Well, the problem with the theory is that if Joe only squashed tiny guys, that would maybe work. But we know Joe's not afraid of anybody because he fought Brock Lesnar toe to toe.
Yeah, but he's brown. He's brown, sir. He's brown. Therefore, he's a foreign coward.
So's Roman.
Yeah. Which I don't. He's booked him as the anti-coward. He's still a foreign coward, but he's an anti-coward. I don't get it. The Vince doesn't make any sense. I guess he just wants to suck on more of that Dwayne Johnson cock. But that's the reason why Mysterio, they even bothered to put it on the card, is to try and get Joe some heat. The problem is it didn't work at all, because 98% of the whatever Vince does fails.
He's just some guy named Joe.
Yeah. But the Kofi Kingston match, it probably would have got over a lot better if they hadn't released the Kofi Kingston as champion t-shirt on their website half an hour before the match even started. And also, if you had the belt at ringside, probably don't put it on a giant pedestal and cover it with a very thin piece of cloth so we can all see what it is and know that the Heavyweight Championship will be retired after this match, and probably a leather version is going to be whipped out, and probably that has nothing to do with Daniel Bryan's fucking gimmick, and probably he's not winning. Thanks for coming out, though. We appreciate your effort. You wasted millions of dollars.
Pretty much.
Other than that, the match was good.
Yeah, match was really good. Kofi winning the belt is a huge deal because, I mean, it's what the fans wanted. It feels good to see Daniel Bryan put someone over that the fans want to basically be the new Daniel Bryan in this particular scenario. The interesting thing will be, number one, does WWE promptly do nothing with Kofi and make him lose the belt? The answer is probably. And two, do the fans continue to support Kofi as champion? Because that'll be interesting as well.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the Raw after Wrestlemania. Apparently, Black O'Shea are still a tag team and beat Rude and Gable. That makes no sense, but okay. Apparently, they had Dean Ambrose in the match, so apparently he's not going anywhere. Probably re-signed his contract, I have to assume.
No, his contract isn't up yet. So,
Not yet, but why would you put somebody who's not under contract on TV?
to fill time.
Against Bobby Lashley?
And try and pop a rating.
Apparently, the crowd chanted, "Thank you, Ambrose." This was weird. Hold on, time out. Okay, Rush tried to attack, but Ambrose no-sold it, and Rush ran away. This allowed Lashley to regroup and speared Ambrose, giving him a spinebuster through a table. The crowd chanted, "You still suck." Young and officials checked on Ambrose, who was taken away. So it was like a no finish. Young and the officials checked on Ambrose in brackets, who was taken away worse, who's taken way worse beatings than this, close brackets. The crowd chanted, "Thank you, Ambrose. This was weird."
And man's had his head put through a cinder block.
Sami Zayn was shown walking through the back. The crowd popped big. Mojo Rawley yelled at a broken mirror. They have no idea what they're doing. Finn Balor defeated Sami Zayn to retain his Intercontinental Championship. They gave him just over 12 minutes to have a fucking what could have been a 5-star match. Idiots. Elias promo, Undertaker, winner take all. Kofi Kingston defeated what? Oh, Kofi Kingston defeated Universal Champion Seth Rollins in a no DQ via DQ in a winner take all match. Are you fucking kidding me? Why don't you just remove your gonads with a vice grip? Yeah. And then I guess they restarted the match. Kofi Kingston and Seth Rollins defeated Sheamus and Cesaro because apparently the bar came down and I guess the tag team thought they were going to win both championships at the same time. Again, remove one gonad at a time with vice grips because I want to know that you were in that much pain. You fucking dumbasses that can't book anything.
Yeah. They did a decent job of booking Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, though.
Yeah.
Pretty decent match for 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Probably about the extent of Roman Reigns' cardio at this time.
Yeah, dude's gone through chemo, right? So, fuck, Jesus.
So, I mean, short, to the point, yet good.
Yeah,
I'm all for this match. Triple H defeated Batista in a match that got pretty nasty at points. I mean, there was the rip out of the piercing from the nose at one point by Triple H on Batista. Ric Flair got involved, gave Triple H the sledgehammer. He hammered Batista and got the win. And I know you didn't like the result of this, but I mean, I'm fine with it because Batista has always talked about how he wanted his last match to be putting Triple H over. And he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. It's just that Triple H doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't need to. There's no reason for him to. There's zero aspect of his current career that requires him to ever have another match in his life. It would cost him nothing to retire from in-ring competition and put Drax the Destroyer over, who's a big star. A bigger star than he's ever going to be.
I mean, I agree with those points largely, but the problem is the annoyingness of Triple H. It doesn't really have to do with his wrestling. It has to do with his on-screen presence and character. In NXT, they have it right. When Triple H shows up, it's a big deal. It's to award a new title or give the Mae Young Classic winner a big hug and some flowers.
Yeah.
Or, shit's going to go down. On the main roster, he shows up too frequently. He's the omnipresence of the Authority. and it's not a Triple H thing. It's just anyone in that role is problematic, and it doesn't really make any sense, especially when they did the whole, we don't need the Authority anymore. Well, the Authority's still fucking there, so
Yeah, they're there twice a week, 3 times on Sundays. Jesus.
So I mean, I don't know. I don't think Triple H having to retire after this, which honestly means nothing because a retirement in wrestling means nothing. Really would fix any problems with the product. So
Well, it's not going to fix any problems. It just wouldn't cost him anything. It wouldn't mean anything to Triple H, and it would mean more to Batista to get the big win, and then maybe 2 years down the road you do it again.
I don't think it would, because I think Batista's career is in Hollywood. It's pretty set. He's, that Stuber movie they had the trailer for during this, which we both want to see. Kind of proof of that. Like he's established himself, and like I said, he wanted to put him over. So I think putting Triple H over means more to Batista. And at the end of the day, Batista came back to give one last match to the fans and to give a proper send off for his career. And he wanted to lose. So
yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that, but I still can't think of any reason why they wouldn't do it the other way. It just doesn't. It doesn't make any
if I
sense.
may, there's an obvious answer to that question. What if Batista didn't want to win?
Yeah, I guess.
Baron
But
Corbin.
he also didn't want to go out in the Royal Rumble as a fucking face, and they're like, no, it'll be good. Oh wait, no, it won't.
Well, they convinced him that he was wrong, and
I don't think they did.
He was right. Well,
Yep.
no, like he's even admitted in interviews since, he's like, okay, I had misgivings about it. I thought this was a terrible idea. They told me all these things that it was going to be a good idea. I went out there, I agreed to it, and then went backstage and said, I told you so. So they, somewhat sold him on the idea, at least.
Yeah, it's fair.
Baron Corbin defeated Kurt Angle in Kurt Angle's farewell match.
This was the shits. Fucking moving on.
Yeah, this is the wrong guy to be beating Kurt Angle. Either it should be a young guy who gets the rub, which is not Baron Corbin because you've wrecked him.
No.
Or it should be some kind of sentimental match, John Cena, basically.
It should have been John Cena. There should have been no. He was there. He was there the whole night.
Yeah, he spit a couple of verses at Elias Sampson, and that was his night done.
Yeah, that should have been the. He should have come out back out again under the Word Live territory, kick the shit out of club the shit out of Baron Corbin from behind, and then had the match. That should have been the move. But they had Baron Corbin, who only generates a mild in reaction from the crowd, against the beloved Kurt Angle, and they didn't even give him 7 minutes. They barely gave him 6 minutes.
You had
a retirement match.
You had the Doctor of Thugonomics earlier in the night. It would have been really Baron Corbin to come out, got jumped from behind by prototype John Cena, who then goes, Kurt, I'm going to show you ruthless aggression.
That would have been good. Slap him in the face. Yeah, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for this match. This was the shits. This was Frankie Kazarian would call this the shits. 10-hour loop, no pause on YouTube. This was fucking garbage, disgraceful, and you should be thrown in a trash compactor if you sanction this. This was bad.
Yeah, it was a terrible idea. Demon Finn Balor defeated Bobby Lashley in 4 minutes and 5 seconds. What are they doing with Bobby Lashley?
I don't know. I have no memories of this match at all. I remember that some guy in a reggae outfit came out, and then some large man didn't win. That's it. Fuck.
And then we had the 3-way to main event it. Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, winner take all. We got this entrance thing with Charlotte Flair coming in like a, air quotes, queen on a helicopter.
Trash.
Which makes no sense, because if she's coming in like a queen, she should come in with, like, I don't know, a horse-drawn buggy or something.
Yeah, this was badly done. It took so long. There were so many things on here that were just a waste of goddamn time.
But it's a complete waste. It's like, oh my god, she's coming in a helicopter and it's gonna land and she's gonna walk into the arena.
Yeah, that's what happens when helicopters land and people get out. Jesus goddamn Christ.
Becky won, so they made the right call at least. She got to. Did she pin? She pinned Ronda?
Yeah, she did crucifix pin.
Yeah. Kind of a semi botch where Ronda's shoulders kind of came up. It was a 3 count upon replay, so there's no controversy in that regard. But it did kind of make it a little.
There was some fracas, and like there's some conjecture whether or not this was an actual botch, and from what I understand, it was not. This was the original plan was for Becky to tap out Charlotte, but I don't. On top of that, apparently, Ronda Rousey broke her hand during the match. But I don't know if that had anything to do with the actual plan. But what they settled on is pinning Ronda Rousey. They were talking about submitting Ronda Rousey, and that none of that made any sense. And apparently, somebody finally convinced Vince that was the case.
That would be bad.
The dumbest thing you've done since, I don't know, the rest of the matches on the goddamn card. But somebody finally convinced Vince that can't happen. Not shouldn't, but can't happen. And then they settled on that. Now, the only conjecture is, should it have been a clean pin, or should it have been the pin that happened with Ronda Rousey's shoulders not touching the mat? That's the only bit of conjecture, but apparently this was the plan. That was the way things were supposed to go.
I mean, I would have liked to clean pin that moment. I mean, this is a winner take all, and this is the first women's WrestleMania main event. And
you got to take a giant shit on a women somehow. I mean, it's not a Vince fucking card without a giant shit on some women.
Except they already did take shit on women.
Not all of them, just most of them.
Well, at this point, all of them.
Yeah, so if you don't take a giant diarrhea shit on all women's matches, it's really not a Vince McMahon card.
True, but I'm dealing in a world where Booker wants to do what's best for business.
Booker T.
And that was WrestleMania, and kind of like every year for the last couple of years, I'm not hyped.
Yeah, there's no reason to watch WWE except NXT.
And even NXT's got some definite problems that are leaking down from the main show.
Yeah, but I mean, at least they've got the excuse of they're the training ground, right? You can excuse some stuff here and there, but it's just, and hopefully Vince McMahon is so busy with the Apparently, the word on the street is that he's now decided that he's definitely going to be running the XFL and WWE at the same time again. He's definitely doing that because he's so old and frail and mentally deficient that he thinks that's a good idea, and nobody's able to tell him no because they're weak and stupid.
One of the XFL teams actually might have got the XFL in a little bit of hot water. We'll see what happens.
I'm fine with it.
Basically, the deal was that they stole a CFL coach, Jamie Elizondo, the offensive coordinator of the Ottawa Red Blacks, who was under contract, and they signed him to a contract, and now Ottawa doesn't have an offensive coordinator.
That doesn't seem like the right thing to do.
Basically, the deal is, since there's no agreement in place between the XFL and the CFL as far as honoring each other's contracts, they kind of get to ignore them.
That doesn't seem legal.
That's the question I think some CFL people are bringing up, as to whether there's a legal recourse that can be handled here. I know specifically some people in Ottawa would be, for sure.
Yeah, it's called a lawsuit. You do that. Do it that way.
But, not that we'll be covering that particularly closely, but I'm personally interested to see where that ends up going.
Yep.
And I think that's all. And you have anything you want to finish up with?
No, not really. I mean, it wasn't the greatest 4 days of wrestling I've ever seen. There was I would say 50% of it was absolute garbage. 20% of it was great, and the rest kind of falls in the middle. That's about where it really, for the biggest 4 or 5 days of wrestling of the year, a lot of people got to step their goddamn games up.
In fairness, it's mostly the WWE.
Yeah. I mean, out of the cards that we watched, half of them were WWE.
Worst show, I'm going to go with Mania.
Yeah.
Best show, I'm going to go with Takeover.
Yeah. It's either Takeover or the G1 Supercard, and I think the G1 Supercard had too much filler and not enough upside. So yeah, I think you're right.
All right, that is all. We'll probably not see you next week because I'm probably not gonna be able to talk. But
Autistic Mexican Revenge.
Squared Circle Jerks. Autistic Mexican Revenge.
I think we should totally. If it didn't hurt you so bad, I would just say we should totally do a podcast anyway. But fuck that.
It doesn't really hurt because I'm on drugs.
Down how? Not even the next day.
Well, the next day does hurt. Yes.
Yeah, fuck that. Dude, I know how that works.
All right, so we'll talk to you whenever we get back and going. And until then, get up, Iron Salon. I don't know why you're there.
Word.